Welcome to the land of long live play, where greatness is always waiting. Welcome to the PlayStation experience. I'm your host, Delvin Cox. Wait a minute. That doesn't seem right. I am definitely not Delvin Cox. But joining me, as always, is the Secretary of Spoil, the Platinum Princess herself, Haley Nicole Miller. How you doing, Haley?
I am sweating to death since I turned off my fan, since it's very loud.
How hot is it up there today? Like 4?
5
maybe?
Hold on. I will tell you, it is currently 75 degrees.
Oh, that's not hot at all. That's a nice mild
Okay,
day.
but I'm on the top.
I can
floor of
imagine
my
in Canada
apartment.
that's like hell on earth. It's a Helheim up there. It's 74 degrees. They're like, oh my god.
And also joining us is Donnie. Donnie, thanks for filling in here. Joining us for the PlayStation
Greetings,
experience.
Kooblings. I probably haven't been on a PSXP in like years. It's probably been a long time.
I think the last episode you were on was maybe 78.
Wow. See? Years. Like a long time ago.
Yeah,
but happy to fill in.
Yeah, and we miss Delvin. We wish he was here, but unfortunately,
Absolutely.
life is happening. So
Absolutely.
we're just gonna make do with what we can and have the show go on. So we'll
Unfortunately, get me. Be
Hey,
excited.
Donnie, that's fine.
Yay!
And the way Xbox is,
we're always happy to have Donnie. So
the way the Xbox empire is going, you might be back to PlayStation before you know it. Not to get you started on that for the 12th time.
That's the second time today that's been brought up.
Yeah.
Hey, when it rains, it pours. At this point, you can't do anything but accept it.
Yes.
Kind of a mess over there. So
yeah, which is sad because I don't like to see that.
I'm waiting for them to release like the physical edition of Hellblade with the physical like DualSense controller, and then I'm really gonna lose my
Wait, do you think they would actually do that? Because like I know the thing is that there's no
at this
physical
point now I'm
edition for
thinking maybe they
Xbox.
would. And maybe like they don't do it, but maybe they license it to somebody else that does it.
Limited
Like,
run games.
yeah.
That's who's doing the hi-fi like physical.
Yep, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt my soul.
Yeah, not much else to say about that. Really,
just like it's like awkward, huh? It's like
I definitely appreciated your rants over the last few episodes that you've been watching of play some video games and whatnot. It's I echo all those feelings, man. It's not.
Well, thank
cool.
you. Yeah, somebody needs to say it. There's been a lot of over there in Xbox land, and you follow those sources or those talking heads and stuff. I feel like there's been a lot of dismissing, or like false beliefs or falsehoods. I said it then. When they started talking about going multi-platform. Not that I am not opposed to them going multi-platform at all. I was just always at the forefront, like, well, if you go multi-platform, it's gonna hurt this other business that you've been trying to do.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm to the thing where I think it might be in their best interest. Like everybody might just start liking them more and buying more of their stuff if they did it. Like I'm just like, how about let's just get on with it then.
Yeah, just go full tilt. Yeah.
I mean, I'll definitely play Gears of War on my PlayStation 5 anytime they let me. Same with Halo. If they ever get Halo out on that too, I know that'll be big, but I am all for it. Because I had the 360 back in the day, and I still have all those titles that I love. And if I could play like the more recent games without having to buy a new console, even if it's signing up for something like a Game Pass on the Sony platform, I would be intrigued.
I mean, again, at this point, like the rumor of Latitude having no red line is basically like you could see it and would not surprise me at all.
Well, I will say just to echo off that before I don't want to turn your show into an Xbox show. The one thing that I have been like chewing on, what I don't believe to be true, but like part of me wonders, like, can they just have like a less of a focus in the hardware space? And I think maybe that's what they're thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe they're like, look, we can't sell 100 million of these, so like let's not try. We'll sell the 10 or 20 million that we can. It'll have Game Pass, like it'll do what it does, and we'll look at other businesses. It's just I just can't believe that doesn't, like, even over time, just hurt their other. Like, I just feel like that just diminishes kind of the whole pitch. Like, I think people will leave, ever so often. It's just like almost like game by game by game, like slowly. I don't think like that day people would be angry on the internet, but like I don't really care about that. But I think you do that for 3 or 4 years and people will just buy those things elsewhere. Like I don't think that is a long-term viable strategy for hardware. But then the part of me is like, what if that's the idea?
It might be.
Like, what if that is the plan, to just like dwindle it down to a point where they can quietly unplug? And that might be the goal.
They have Game Pass on TVs now, and you don't even need the console. So
exactly,
there's like all sorts of different routes where you're not necessarily doing hardware, but you still have an Xbox or Microsoft platform to be on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Yeah. So Haley, you've been playing stuff? You've been watching things?
I have been, and we're going to do a little off the cuff here because one of our questions relates to something I've been playing. So
okay.
I'd like to go ahead and read Smokin' Joe's question about Diablo 4, which is how is Diablo 4's current season? I started playing it last night, actually. So like I didn't play much of the season last night. I was just playing some now before we recorded. Last night I was helping friends unlock like on the because the way they do seasons is like seasonal characters have their own realm, and then like the story characters are on like Eternal, right? So I was on Eternal last night helping a couple friends unlock their capstone dungeon to get to the next world tier for their like permanent characters. And then after we finished playing, I started like the seasonal thing, and my dumbass accidentally activated the battle pass that I have had available to me since launch. So guess who's playing now?
So what is the battle pass? Remind me of that. I've heard of it before, but I'm struggling to think of what it actually is.
The way Diablo does it is like you've got the free tier, you got the premium tier, and then you've got the tier above that, which basically Fortnite does the same thing, and everybody does that kind of situation, right? Where it's like you got a free tier, your first level of the paid tier, and then hey, this one will give you 20 free levels of the thing and whatnot. So when I bought Diablo 4, I bought like the Ultimate Edition that gave 3 days early access or whatnot. That edition also included like one accelerated battle pass redemption. I accidentally hit that button last night while looking at seasonal rewards. So now I activated it and it immediately jumped me to level 20 of the battle pass. And in my current playing, I've reached level 29 of the battle pass. I'm only level 13 because when you start a seasonal character, you start at the beginning.
Right.
You can skip the story. You don't have to play through the story mode again. Like it'll just drop you in the open world and you like have a bunch of map areas unlocked and you can go and play through them. So I've been doing that and like working on the seasonal stuff, but it's interesting. They've changed the loot system, so you get less loot, but it means more now. So it's
that's what I read. Big improvements for that, and also the events that they have. Like it's been a while. I did the first season of Diablo 4, but then got bored with it after a certain point. But when I've read, like they've improved like the games and the rewards, and like you can actually tweak armor and stats a lot. Customizable now.
Instead of upgrading your armor, what you do now is called tempering. Which essentially like you can only do it a certain amount of times, but it'll essentially add 2 more affixes to your armor, which are like stat bonuses. Like a legendary piece will only start with 2, but you get a legendary and you temper it, boom, you've got 4 on there now. And you can temper to the point where like it massively bumps your skill. Like I saw a screenshot last night on Reddit of someone who had tempered their gear to have literally like 17 out of 5 skill activations. So like level 5 of the skill, but their tempered armor put it up to 17. So like you can massively buff your skills. They also rebuffed my class, which is great.
That was my next question.
That's literally what made me stop playing in the first place, is they nerfed Sorcerer to the ground, and now like multiple classes for Sorcerer are viable again. So
yeah, I mean, I picked a rogue from my season 1 playthrough just because it was so overpowered at the time, and I just wanted to not be frustrated because I like the magic-based classes too. I usually play wizards in the Diablo games, be it from WoW or Diablo, and I'm glad to hear that they gave it a little bit of a buff, because I maybe might want to go back and play this new season and check it out.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna need help. Because like
Sure.
for some reason, I guess world tiers don't stay unlocked for like new characters. You have to re-unlock them, so I'll need help with the capstone dungeon eventually. That's different than Diablo 3, because once you unlocked it, you could start a new character on that. I'm still not the biggest fan of that change, but really liking it. I'm having fun with it. The only other thing I've been playing is Fallout 4 still, which, you know, I reached level 45 the other day. Still have not advanced the main quest anywhere past where I talked about it on Wednesday night.
Yeah, well, that's what happens with that game. I got so overwhelmed by that map, and as things started unlocking, I was like, I don't think I want to play Fallout right now. I have also have over 450 hours in that game, and has completed it 4 times to get each of the 4 stories done. So maybe I'm just plus all the DLC. I think I just overdid it on Fallout in the past, and even with the upgrade and everything looking nice and shiny, I had a real hard time once I got to the Diamond City. I was kind of like, there's just so much more to do.
So I have upgraded my character in a way where like my damage resistance is almost 200 at this point. For reference, I think the highest you can get your damage resistance is like 343.
Okay.
I'm currently sitting at 189, and I can still go higher.
Yeah, you're going for that high endurance build. I usually go for a luck-based build with the aspects as well. I find that to be fun. You get there's like a pistol that's kind of like the Walter PP7 that Bond uses, that has a
the deliverer, the
and the VATS on that thing is ridiculous. Like you can target. I'm not even really being too exaggerating here. You can target like 20 people and just like headshot.
So that gun, since Donnie, I'm assuming like you've never really been a fan of Fallout. I know you like Skyrim and all that, but like so the VATS essentially uses the stamina bar.
Oh, I know what the VATS is. I've played Halo. I mean, I've played Fallout. I know what the VATS is.
But it's busted because this gun takes 25% less of your stamina. So like when Snurts is saying you can target 20 people, you're not usually going to encounter 20 people attacking you at once. You can, however, fire 20 shots straight into their head.
Yeah. I mean, I remember this. There was a pit of ghouls, feral ghouls, that I had to take out, and I was at an elevated position, and much like Obi-Wan, I had the high ground and just took them all out with like one VAT, swipe.
I also have the Idiot Savant perk, which
yes, that one's great. I like that one too.
Yes, it's very good. Essentially, what it does for anyone who doesn't know is, at a random chance, based on your intelligence stat. This is a luck perk, by the way, but it's based on your intelligence stat. At a random interval, randomly, I have it upgraded to the point where I'm going to get 5 times experience for any action. This also includes quest completions, by the way.
Yeah, you can
5 times the experience. And triggering that level of the perk will also trigger the next level, which is 3 times experience for any kills you make in a short period of time. So you can really like knock those.
You also get a very humorous character, the Fallout character, come on the screen. He goes, and something to that nature.
Every time the perk activates.
Yeah, and I've had it where I was turning in a quest and I jumped like 3 levels just because that perk hit at the right time. Very fun stuff.
I saw someone on Reddit say they can get it to go up 12 at once by quest, like by making a quick save before they turn in the quest and just reloading until they pop the action.
That's too much work. There's too much to do in that game already. I don't need to keep reloading. This isn't Baldur's Gate 3 and I got a crit loss. Nice.
Yeah. That's about it. It's about all I've been playing.
Nice. Donnie, what have you been playing?
Oh, all kinds of stuff, really. Since Princess Peach, since I skipped that, I haven't really had like a whole lot of new releases until this week. So in the months that have ensued, I've just been playing like whatever's at my fingertips, whatever I'm in the mood for, which is just allowing for like my manic brain to like go insane on things. Like this week at the moment, I'm playing like Sons of Valhalla on PC and playing Hyrule Warriors. I just got my Nintendo Switch Online stuff in the mail. Cool. So today I spent the day like playing N64 games. Like I played a bunch of and some GBA stuff. I played Yoshi's Island. I played 007. I played
Sweet.
Ocarina of Time. So just playing
Man,
whatever strikes my fancy until Hellblade and Thousand Year Door comes out. So my last like third party game was like Wolfenstein. I just went through the whole Blood maybe a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So, and I'd like to get through the trilogy before the end of the summer, maybe. But I'm just hanging out, man. I'm not really doing a whole bunch of anything.
Did you give up on the Cowboy Simulator Red Dead?
No, I actually went back to it and played it. I might soon though, and this is like the PC part of it. I don't see it when I open Steam because I have it on Epic.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's in my Epic game launcher. Now I have another launcher. I have a third party launcher, but I'm still not like in the habit of always opening it. You know, especially like if I'm buying something. Right. Like, so if I go to Steam because I'm going to buy something like Sons of Valhalla, and I realized then I was like, oh yeah, Red Dead's there. And I just haven't booted it because I haven't opened up that launcher yet. But I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I've given up on it, but I probably have, to answer your question. So it's like and I say that because like there's lots of rumors that Red Dead might be coming to PC, like the old one. And the moment that I can play that one instead, I probably will just play that one. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I completed Arthur's story on mine and then get into that epilogue that's just way too long. And I was like, I'm good. And I figured like if I want to do anything, I'll go back to my old save where I have more of the things complete. And I did like a few challenges, like a survivalist or a gambler thing here and there. But then I was definitely done with it after that. It's still fun. I enjoy the redemption part of the back half of the story. And I think that it is just a really compelling plot that kept me going. But I got tired of all like the, hunting and the extra stuff and the collecting and trying to craft things. It can become a lot.
I may need to just like watch like a story recap on it and just like and here's the funny thing, as much as I love like this sort of game, the style of game, I was the exact same way with GTA 5. Like I would go all in on it and for 10, 20 hours at a time. And then I put it on the back burner for a couple months and I come back and I do it all again. And then I put it on the back burner. It took me years to beat that game, literally. And I restarted.
Did you ever actually beat it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And it took me years to do it because I played it for the first time. I played it on 360, I want to say. And then I put it on the shelf when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One remaster came. Then I played that. And then I think I played it the first time I got like my first gaming PC and then my first desktop. Like I just kept restarting every time I got a new console. I was like, let's play GTA 5 again. I remember I got my 1X. I think I played GTA 5. So yeah, that might be the case here for Red Dead where, every so often between lulls and stuff when I'm in the mood, I fire it up and take it for a spin.
There you go. Yeah, I've also been playing more Helldivers, and I have to say, I think I'm getting a little tired of fighting for democracy. Also, I don't know if they change things or not.
You're gonna let the Ruskies win.
Yeah, no, I'm out. I got things to do.
Such a Gen Z statement. I think I'm getting a little tired of fighting for democracy, guys.
Well, that's a whole other deal. I do my Friday night, movie game night, and we've been playing Helldivers for the last month. And last night we got our asses kicked playing the exact same kind of difficulty level we used to. So I don't know what, and I'm kind of just tired of the guns that they have, and I don't really feel like grinding to unlock more. They have this like Arctic pack coming out that just kind of makes me snooze. So we'll see. It is one of those games where I think they kind of look like
Fortnite stuff, like the gun's blue or something. Like, what is that?
No, they got like energy base powers, and they all look like the stormtroopers from Empire Strike Back, the Battle of Hoth. So they like just additional armor, and I'm a little bored of like the armor perks. There is one that's really good where you get like a 50% chance of not dying when taking critical damage. Which is great because like you get launched across the map and you're still living and you're like stim pack. And so that's fun. But all the other ones are kind of like, oh, if you crouch, you get a better bonus or you get to carry extra stim packs. It's kind of just I don't care. And I've unlocked the mech suit that was really cool, like from the videos, but in like actual practice of using it, I'm just terrible with it, or it could be tweaked because as soon as you kind of run out of money, you're just walking around in this giant thing that says like, "Look at me, I'm a giant target. Hit me." But maybe, I'm just a little tired of playing it and need to take a break, which is why I decided to buy RoboCop Rogue City. And that's been my new game that I've been playing. And I have to say, it's really good at doing what these kind of games should do, which is make you feel like the star character.
Sure.
So you feel like RoboCop. You have the heavy steps that hit. You're not moving around fast here. You have the pistol that comes out of the leg that's popping heads, and you can do a 3-round burst or fully automatic, which is really nice. And when you aim, the HUD is the same kind of special effects that they would use in the movie when they're doing a perspective from RoboCop's eyes. And you have the various, like, your enemies will turn green and it'll highlight their movements, so it's easier to shoot them, which is really nice. I also enjoy the references because they have stuff like, in this dystopian world of RoboCop, the ozone layer is gone, and you can't stand out inside of the California sun for more than a few seconds without wearing this sunscreen. And the sunscreen makes you look like a Smurf because it's just very thick blue. So you have this mission where this guy is, you're trying to solve a murder, and you see this blue sunscreen, and you come across this guy who's wearing the whole blue stuff. And the joke in the movie and the ad is that this sunscreen will give you cancer as well, but it just won't give you as cancer as fast as being out without no ozone layer. So this guy is there, he's like, it burns, help me, RoboCop. And so I love those little moments. The one thing that's really boggling my mind is why this game has a skill tree. It does not need RPG like elements. I'm putting points in persuasion.
RoboCop has to improve.
But like I don't want to have to choose between like persuasion and more armor or more power with the weapons. I'd rather just have it all. Or do something where like, oh, you completed a mission, here's your new toy that upgrades you anyway.
Upgrade.
Like,
yeah,
I don't need a choice on everything. I think maybe that's why I was getting tired of Fallout and Red Dead and all this other stuff. I'm like, I just kind of want to play a straightforward game, and RoboCop is mostly that. And it's just one of those scenarios where like I don't think we need to have RPG like elements in every single game.
The video game industry disagrees.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It sure does.
It sure does. Yeah. And I think part of this too is because they're encouraging New Game Plus. So then eventually you can get all the skills unlocked and just be like the unstoppable killing machine that RoboCop is supposed to be.
This is kind of a sleeper hit, right? When it came out, there was a little buzz for it. People really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like doing 7s and 8s and stuff like that. So, it's a good little game. I got it on sale for $35 and I don't regret that purchase.
Nice. I wishlisted it. I'll give it a try one day.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth a shot. I am also a fan of RoboCop. To get prepared for playing this game, I watched the first 3 movies, even though the first movie is only the good one.
I love it. See, I've been waiting for Delvin to get into it because I know he loves RoboCop too, which I always joke and give him hell for. So I'll do the same thing. I've never been that into RoboCop. I think he's pretty lame.
I have never watched RoboCop, so.
But I have watched the movie, at least one of them. But oftentimes when I think of RoboCop, I think of just WCW. Shut up in the wrestling. I'm just like, what the?
Well, and I was
on that a level in the game. Can you escort Sting to the ring? Is that in the game?
I was also on Tubi, and there's a bunch of other RoboCop stuff, like a cartoon and like mini series here and there. And I was like, that's like just so much crap. When really the first movie it was where it's at. And this game does take place between 2 and 3, so that's why I wanted to watch him to kind of just place myself in the lore and whatnot. Because it definitely feels like RoboCop, and it is a little bit of fun too when you're in like the city streets of Detroit, and you have cop missions that you can do. So it's like stopping people from doing graffiti, or if they are parked in front of a fire hydrant, you can give them a ticket. So that kind of small little things break up the more action.
I saw one clip where like a guy comes into the station and he's talking to RoboCop. He goes, "I'm the guy on the wanted poster. Do I get the reward if I turn myself in?" And you have to like make a decision between like.
That's hilarious. I'd give him the money. Here's the money, and you've been booked.
There is a lot of funny stuff like that too, and you can have different responses in the dialogue tree. So you can be like the robotic Omnicorp RoboCop, or you could be the more human Alec Murphy, the man inside the machine type of scenario. So I'm enjoying it, and I think I will continue to do so. I don't know if I'll do a New Game Plus right away for this one, but it was fun.
Yeah, that is correct. Dragon Age Inquisition is free on Epic Games right now, so it's
cool.
the Game of the Year edition as well, so it includes like all the DLC. So
nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, is it news time?
It sure is.
All right. So we have a little bit of a shakeup at the head of PlayStation here. We have double the CEOs, double the fun, question mark. So PlayStation names Herman Holst and God, here we go. Hideki Nishino as its new CEOs.
Hideaki Nishino.
Hideaki Nishino. Thank you.
Yeah.
Holst is CEO of the newly named Studio Business Group, which includes all of PlayStation's first-party teams, plus covers the development of the PlayStation IP onto other mediums such as TV and film. Holst is already head of the PlayStation Studios. He was previously the co-founder of Horizon and Killzone developer Guerrilla Games, which was acquired by Sony in 2005. And oh God, I already forgot how to pronounce his name. Hideki Nishino. I am so sorry, sir. I am so sorry.
He's not listening.
I know, but if he is, I'm so sorry. This white boy has trouble with names. We'll need the Platinum Business Group, which includes console hardware, technology, accessories, PlayStation Network, and third-party relations, covering major publishers and indie studios. He's already SVP of platform experiences. He's been part of the Sony business since 2006. Holding numerous roles at the Sony Entertainment or the Sony Network Entertainment, Sony Corporation, and SIE. So, are these two lovely new gentlemen going to be better than that last asshole that we had?
See, speaking of, Yarden is thinking about Jim Ryan so much he couldn't even finish his thought.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, nothing changes for Holst. Like, essentially, he just got like a pay raise because this is the same thing he's been doing. As for Hideaki Nishino, I got no idea. No idea what he's done for the business. Like, I heard what he did for the business, but like, I don't know that it's had any effect on like what we interact with. You know,
I heard via YouTube video on the matter that they suggested, which I think was probably a decent suggestion, but I do not know, so I don't keep too close in the PlayStation buzz these days, that the dual role may save Herman Holst a lot of time and travel in terms of being able to relay things back to Japan. So, and that may have been like a lot of Jim Ryan's thing, right? Like, even while Jim Ryan was in his position, Holst was doing the studio tours and, you know, all the studio businesses and the IP business, right? And Jim was doing a lot of that. So maybe Hideaki is taking on a lot of that role and will work with Holst and report back.
that makes sense. It's a good.
I thought so too.
Thought.
It's a better thought than I have on the matter. I was like, sure, these are two guys. I mean, my big take was like, Holst was definitely seemed like the person that you would promote from within. Like, he was groomed to do that. Like, he's kind of following that path. But I thought it was interesting with the dual roles. It seemed like SIE is maybe getting more involved, right? Or just being, I'm not sure, just a little bit more outside of the game group than as is customary on the PlayStation side of the house, which again, with Tataki at the top is that too. Like, it's been that way for a minute too. So I wasn't surprised.
It's a big company with a lot of moving parts.
Stuff.
So if two people at the top, as long as they can communicate well and don't get in each other's way with egos or other kind of nonsense, when you have a role like that split, then it could be for the best. I mean, it's, you know, we can only go up, right? There's no way we can go further down. Hopefully.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Well, in the articles that I've read,
knocks on wood.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard for me to glean anything of it because you know, the article that I read was just like corporate talk, future.
Yeah, of course.
Corporate talk, you know, New Horizon, blah 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 blah.
Now the thing for them will be, I mean, based on their conjecture and their earnings reports, it'll be very interesting to see how they follow their output in the years to follow. Right? And it seems like they're very fixated right now on controlling their costs. You know, and as the financials came in, like, it'll be interesting to see where that's headed and how they, and that's not just PlayStation, that's everybody, right? Costs are ballooning, development time is exploding and taking longer. Where we used to have consoles where we get 3 or 4 games per studio, now we're getting like maybe 1. And like, what does that do to the business, and how do you where do you pivot? Right, it's been like a thought that I've been trying to think of, like how do you corral any of that? Because it's like you either make less games or smaller games or both, and at least on the big AAA publishing side, nobody seems to want to do any of that. So I think the less games, like reining that stuff in, I think might be what we see moving forward for at least for a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird time in the industry, going through a lot of changes and just trying to figure out where they're going to come out on the other side.
There's so much, doom and glooming in the video game industry. People are talking about it's going to crash and it feels worse than ever, and it's because of the layoffs and stuff. But people still have to realize it's even Xbox, for all that's going through right now, its profits, not including Activision, last year's profits are significantly higher than they were 5 years ago. Like, like you would think that we would all be very happy with where things are, but it's not. Like, it's always more and more and more. It can never be less. And that's where you find yourself in that model, is eventually one day it will be less. Like, you can't go up forever. The line does not continue to go up indefinitely. At some point, it will either plateau or come down.
Which is unfortunate, because that's all shareholders want, is to line go up indefinitely.
Yeah, and it seems like that might be. It seems like we might just be at. We might be at a market saturation point for the gaming business, and if that's the case, then yeah, there was some studios will probably let go. Layoffs will happen. It will sustain. Like, shareholders will drop prices. They'll move on to other things. It'll come down and then find a new sustainment. And I think that's kind of where we are right now, unless somebody pulls a rabbit out of the hat, some curveball that we're not expecting. But it seems like for the next couple of years, like that's probably what we're looking at.
Well, and when you see stuff that you think would help supplement it, like VR and other technology, and it's not really doing anything, so that's not your option. And some of the acquisitions and closures and change does remind me of when I was working with EA. I worked for Pandemic Studios, and they were bought out, with BioWare by EA, and they overworked that studio, and I think put them into the ground just because they really wanted BioWare more than they wanted Pandemic, but it was just part of the deal.
We've seen a lot of this.
So it's nothing really too new, but it does seem like the volume is pretty loud right now, and it is seemingly like every other week we're hearing the story of new layoffs, new changes, and I don't really know what the future holds, but as long as I can still get some good games, I'll be a happy guy. I love the video game industry right now, even though I just don't want to work in it, because man, it just sounds like choppy waters.
Yeah, it'd be nice to hear like a chairman, their words reflect their earnings.
Sure.
It's so funny. This is like financials week, right? It's the end of the quarter, and like everybody's doing financials.
Yep.
And every one of them was like, yeah, we're going through some rough times right now. I'm like, are you though? You made like $20 billion. Like, this is not rough times. Was anybody here in 2008? Like, I remember rough times in the game industry. Anybody come here through the late 90s? Like this is not what we should consider rough times. Like, they're not struggling to make ends meet. It's not like nobody's buying games. Tons of people are buying games.
It's just they're making slightly less than they used to.
Yeah. Or even I do think you're right. I do think I was happy that they did this at what's the video game developers conference, right? They had those presentations that I shared. And there are certain starting to bubble up. It's like, how many games are owning the gaming market? Like, so much money is driven by so few games. It's not spread out, which is interesting, because we talk about the last couple of years, we talk about consolidating the developer talent, but it's like we've got games that are consolidating players. Like, the same thing is happening on the flip side of that coin, where you've got some select free-to-play games and some select giant games, and they are owning like the majority of people buying stuff, and they just keep buying those, and it's getting really hard to turn a profit if you're not those. Like, you're competing with that. And I think that's kind of like where PlayStation finds themselves. They're like, man, we got these games, are making all this money, and how are we justifying spending $300-400 million making a game that can't get people's attention because Fortnite and Warzone and like all this other stuff? That's an interesting challenge.
Wasn't it Matt Piscatella that said the top spending, like games that have spending in them, is like GTA 5, Fortnite,
GTA 5.
Minecraft, and like Warzone.
There's a lot of stats recently starting to suggest like how little people play other things, and like how few I think gamers like me are. People that play lots of different things, want to buy a lot of different games, like churn through that. Like it's getting more and more, I think, less common maybe, because it just seems like a lot of stats are like, nah, most of these people just play 2 or 3 games, which I've always said my entire life, following the industry. We've always said like, most people just play Call of Duty and Madden, right? But like people bought games, like games were selling.
They did,
it's like, it seems like right now games are having a hard time moving unless you're like a big deal.
There is anecdotally, when I talk to my friends who have kids who are of the gaming age, the majority of them are playing Fortnite and Minecraft.
My son,
there's the one guy I know who's like, teaching his kids, like, we're going to start with Nintendo and then you're going to work your way up, which is kind of neat. But
my brother-in-law does the same thing.
That's what they want to play. And I do believe there's always been those people who buy a console just to play Call of Duty or just to play Madden, but and those are just kind of like the casual gamer fans who every once in a while will pick up something new. Like, for example, I have a coworker, I told him about Helldivers, and he's just like, oh yeah, I'm in for that. That sounds like my kind of deal. And I don't know how many people like me as well, like where I have so many games and I don't think I buy as much as you, Donnie, but I do like to get a new game at least like every 3 months just to have something to play or go back to something that's been updated like a Diablo 4 with the season. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with all this stuff, but I'm sure we'll still be getting games and things will just kind of shuffle around and we'll see what it's like when the dust settles.
Dev nailed this from the get-go. I think it's because he's been there and he's seen it before, and I have too, and I echo his statements often. Give him his flowers. It just means less games.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it means. Like, they're not selling as many games. The development costs are getting too high, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to consolidate costs. They're going to make fewer of them instead of years where we get 4 or 5, 6 first-party games, and we get 2 or 3. Maybe 2. Like if they're this year, maybe they buy in a couple exclusivity deals and they just kind of skip the year altogether. Like, it just seems like that's more and more where we're headed.
Well, and doesn't that leave more room for the indies and the smaller games to kind of fill the void in between the big releases?
So you'd hope so, but indie is also, I follow.
You're the ones talking about how nobody's buying it. Like, it's them.
Yeah.
It's, like Ghost of Tsushimas and stuff are selling. They're still doing the big publishers are still doing numbers. It's like you hear Devolver's financials come out.
Yes.
Yeah. And their sales are in the tank. And they're like, we are not making any money. People aren't buying the games. Our Game Pass deals aren't coming through. Our PlayStation Plus deals aren't as good as they used to be. It seems to be that in between space. They're having a really hard time being discovered, actually getting people to push to buy, like press the buy button. Like they're always they're talking about how they can only get games sold if they like go on heavy discount or go on cheap, or they're competing with Humble Bundle. They're competing with Game Pass. And it seems like they're kind of they're being squeezed right now, I think.
I guess I was thinking of Hades too, but that also has big name recognition.
It does.
So that's a different situation.
Yeah.
It's still indie, but you're right. It has it's Supergiant's first sequel. B, it's got that name brand recognition at this point.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I can't wait for it to come to Sony PlayStation.
Oh, Yarden has a question here, if you don't mind. He says, has anyone explained exactly why development costs have gone up so much in such a short time? I understand new tech is expensive, but costs just exploded in the last decade. My take on it is labor. I mean, labor costs have gone up. Wages have been on the rise, been very competitive. COVID did this for a lot of industries, especially on the technology side. That's why we saw a lot of mass layoffs. It wasn't just video games. There were a lot of mass layoffs across the tech sector overall, because during COVID, salaries exploded. It was so hard. Like, everybody was hiring anybody that could help. And people had a lot of options. So people were kind of locked in at big rates. I think that's a big part of it. And I think that's kind of what they're looking to do now. Like, not them as like people, but like the industry as a whole, is they're looking to try and rein those back down. And that's unfortunately why we're seeing layoffs.
Labor is always a big part of it. And also just general inflation.
That's true.
We've had an inflation spike that is not necessarily normal. It's something that we haven't experienced in many decades. Yeah. And I can say from my day job too, that just the cost of production in general has gone up. And Donnie, you're right when it is definitely labor, but there is also just the general.
Well, inflation drives that, right? If somebody's feeling the squeeze and they get a better offer to go, like they're going to go because it, like that boost in salary, that other role will help them. That's a part of it. And
it's not the same thing, but like for example, there's inflation, and then like if you've seen anything about like our grocery scandal that's going on up here, like there's inflation which is driving costs up, but then our grocery stores have taken it to a whole nother level, and they're being dragged into court because they're price fixing, like they're
good
inflating above inflation.
Yeah,
that's happening here in the States too. Kroger was talking about how they keep increasing the price of their
Walmart
goods.
got sued
because people keep paying, and they're just like, we'll just keep increasing until they stop paying. And
that's it.
It's food. People are going to buy food. They might not like get it at the Kroger. Maybe they'll try to go to a cheaper alternative, but like you need to eat at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like
Walmart got sued for misrepresenting the weights.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
They cut everything by like 2/10 of a pound to save money.
Yeah, and then even Trader Joe's increased their banana price, and there was somebody that I know was flipping out about that. They're like, they said it was always going to be this cheap, and now it's more.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it went up a dime. I don't think it went up that high.
Costco hot dog.
$1.50.
The crazy thing is that prices go up, so people need jobs to pay more, and they'll try to find them as best they can. And the crazy thing is that like rarely do costs ever go down.
Correct.
Like significantly.
Correct.
They almost always like just kind of plateau and stay there.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just kind of the salary market will just have to course correct.
I mean, I tell people this all the time that, when my father was fortunate enough to have a job where he was making north of 100K a year, that was back in the 80s. That was way different than it is today.
Yeah, he was rolling in it back then.
yeah, not really, but
in the 80s, 100 grand.
Well, yeah,
that's
but he
pretty nice.
There was also a lot of debt and 3 kids. So
yeah.
But
in the 80s, you should be able to afford a home, send your kids to college, a couple cars in the garage, that sort of thing. At 100.
I mean,
you could still buy houses back then for 40,
got there
50
eventually.
grand.
Got there eventually.
I will never own a home.
But my point being is that it's been 40 years since that decade. So like, and when I talk to people though, they seem to still have in their mental like, oh, if you're making like 50,000 a year in Los Angeles, you're doing okay. No, you're not. You're not really. I'm sorry. It's just so damn expensive out here. But now we're turning into an economics podcast. So I don't know. Should we move on to the next story?
Let's move on.
I mean, sure.
Okay. So PSN account requirements for PC players. First, we got Helldivers 2, now Ghost of Tsushima. Losing customers because you don't support the PSN in their country is beyond stupid, in my opinion. So in the wake of the fact that Helldivers 2 players in 177 regions still cannot purchase the game, even after the PSN reversal, now players are finding they cannot buy Ghost of Tsushima upcoming PC release, and Steam is actually refunding early purchases to the game due to Sony's PSN requirements, which again is impossible in those regions where you cannot make such an account. And so my thought is, are they going to continue this clusterfuck when God of War Ragnarok comes to PC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that's the answer, because it would suck that the studio, they were like, we're not going to require the PSN thing for Ghosts unless you want to play multiplayer. And then it was like 2 days later, they're like, you're just not going to be able to buy Ghosts now.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good. That's worse.
And the multiplayer is good. Like, why would you want to like have people not play their multiplayer? I didn't play it too much, but the few experiences I had was very nice. And are you going to sell the game cheaper because they can't access multiplayer? I doubt it.
So the thing is that like speculation on the Ghost part is that it was Steam that disabled the purchase of those countries. We know it was Sony with Helldivers. We absolutely know that Sony was like, all right, pull it. But with Ghost, speculation is that Steam has pulled it themselves because only being able to access half the game may come afoul of certain consumer
I don't think Steam would have done that without an acknowledgement. It's not like Steam's not one to like in clandestine make changes in the background that screw over gamers. Like they're pretty upfront. These are the same people that have Family Plan and the Steam Decks, and like they want you to play the game. If you couldn't buy the game, I would imagine they would respond as to why. Not saying it's wrong. It sounds far-fetched to me. That really sounds like we're gonna, misplace the blame here. It's like, no, this sounds like a Sony thing.
I mean, either way, it's probably a consumer protection thing because you can't access half the game in your region. You could technically take them for like, hey, I can't access half the product I paid for.
Get a refund. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or just put some kind of legalese in there that you will only be
Steam
able
could
to
very easily put a banner on the store page, multiplayer, not available in your region.
They could. I mean, to be fair,
they sell games that don't even work with controllers.
Yeah, that drives me nuts. That drove me so fucking crazy.
There was that banner on Helldivers 2 that was like third-party login required.
Yeah.
Nobody paid attention to it.
Yeah. So I think this is PlayStation's problem that they have to fix. I think they're probably working on some sort of, fix for it, but eventually they will have to do this. Can't be the path forward. They're limiting their own sales too much. Like this, they'll have to find some sort of adjustment. And I think it will be. I'm wondering, like, can they still release the game in other regions that don't have access to PSN? Haven't they done that before with the games that previously released?
So none of the previous games that Sony had released on Steam required a login at all. But that's because
I don't say requiring it, but like have it.
None of them had it at all. None of them required like an online there was no multiplayer with any of the previous games that they had launched.
I gotcha.
Except Returnal maybe, but
so if this is only based off of multiplayer, then maybe God of War Ragnarok won't be such a big deal.
Here's the thing, though. It's not just multiplayer for Ghosts. You also, if you want to earn trophies, have to log in as well. And they completely made a new PC. Yeah, they made like a new PC interface that requires you to log in to access all of that. Like you can access your PSN friends list and everything through there. So I think it may also happen with God of War because that login would be required for the...
Maybe this non-PS region stuff, maybe that business just isn't worth it to them. Maybe they're not selling a whole lot of copies in those regions.
Maybe.
That's a good point. If it's only like, oh no, we lost 3 sales in Timbuktu or wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even saying like, what if it's 10,000? Like, I have no idea. Are we talking millions of possible sales or like, 20,000 sales? Like, is this going to change their ultimate number at the end of the day?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, it didn't even change, like, after the controversy, it didn't even change, like, the actual numbers of Helldivers players. It's still just...
The concurrence. Like, they still have just as many people in as they did before. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it was easy for them to cut it off, is they're like, this isn't really a thing. We've got, there's that, I'm not sure if you guys ever seen that Steam map. There's a Steam map of players that, like, logged in, and there's, like, that one dude in, like, Antarctica. There's, like, this little dot down there. It's like, you just can't play Ghosts. It's okay.
Yeah. Or my favorite image from Steam ever is like the group that's like boycott Modern Warfare 2, and then like it's captured on launch day and they're all playing Modern Warfare 2.
Sure, of course. Yeah. It might be that. But I would expect, I think this is Sony's doing. I think this is their easiest way to fix it. And I think we should expect this to be the case until they do something different. I don't know. Like they could have a linking of services or an API, or they come out with their own launcher. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure someone.
As long as you don't charge $40,000 a month for your API, I think it'll be okay.
And
that is literally like a dig at elongated
Trash Musk. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
That's why like Nintendo is pulling like the Twitter like screenshot support. It's why
that's why we can't stream to Twitter anymore.
It's why we can't. Well, that also might be affected more recently by he just changed the domain in the web. It's actually x.com now, but hasn't updated to everybody yet. So now it's like screwing up, right? So
why didn't they just ditch the multiplayer from Ghost and sell it that way?
I mean, you would think.
You think they'd have 2 options. Here's the full game. Here's the single player.
Yeah.
I mean, the multiplayer was like a free add-on anyways. It wasn't at launch. So, like, just sell the game without it.
I am by no means surprised at this. And I say this in the most charming way that I can. Mm-hmm. Haley, you're talking about people claiming PlayStation licenses revoking games out of their library. We've seen people talk about like games missing from their library. Like this isn't really their bag.
No.
You know, like their stuff works fine if you buy into their system and stuff, but the whole integration and making yours like they're not Xbox, they're not Microsoft in that situation.
No.
You know, this is why you've got PS4 and PS5 versions of the same game on the store and stuff like that. Like this isn't their strong suit. So I'm not surprised at all.
Hey
that
man,
like, you know what? Just pull it. Just pull it in those countries.
I am okay with having separate versions. You know why? I get a new trophy list.
You get double trophies. Like, this is a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
I remember I forget what it was. I think it was a Spider-Man remastered or something. Like we bought the game and then we traded it in, and then I bought the PlayStation. We tried to, and we couldn't play it anymore or whatever. And I was like, "What? God, this is a nightmare! It's in my library, like it's right there."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised, not in the least bit.
I just think this is a pie in the face on the rollout, and I'm sure there is someone doing the cost benefit analysis of like, oh, we're pissing off these people.
It would cost us $10 million to fix.
But it would, exactly. Just actually
or
we'll
set up lose
PSN access,
$50 grand.
Right. So but it is, for especially people who already were playing Helldivers, then they kind of have the rug like pulled out from under them after purchasing the game is not a good look.
That was a man-made issue.
That's a shitty issue, and like, that's their own.
Well, they just did that on themselves. Like there was no reason to disrupt that. You clearly proved that it wasn't necessary. Their reasoning was terrible. They're like, it's for security. It's not for security.
No,
it's absolutely not the case at all. It's for analytics, it's for data analytics, it's for the opportunity to tie you in financially, to sell you stuff, or to attach your card to their payment systems and stuff like that. That's all it is. Monthly active users.
Yeah,
I have enjoyed the internet feedback and silly YouTube videos and other things talking about this, and just basically like Sony like just stepping on their own foot. So that's been kind of fun. And speaking of fun with vengeful shit, in Fallout 76, players keep nuking Xbox Phil Spencer's camp. And this is the feel good story that we needed. And I'm glad you're here, Donnie, for this story, because like I was wondering, are you going to buy Fallout 76 just for the opportunity?
I might as well, right? Like
to
just
nuke
to try.
Phil Spencer.
I mean, wait.
How about you, Haley? Are you
going
to go in there and get onto this action?
I own Fallout 76 because Twitch just gave it away for free.
Right. So did you nuke Phil?
Yeah.
Did I nuke Phil? I'm not going to play Fallout 76 up to level 50, where you have to be to unlock the ability to nuke players.
Okay.
I saw an impression that he unlocked the achievement or whatever you get to learn how to fire nukes. So it looks like he's readying a response. Like it looks like he's about to...
But also, I love
mutually assured destruction.
The original guy that did it said it wasn't personal. In RPGs, I like to play the villain, and Phil Spencer was mine.
Nice.
I just thought it was a fun little bit of
like it's
definitely is. You just desserts, man. He deserves it. It's a shame he couldn't do more, but
the timing of it is just hilarious, though. It's like, hey, here's a bunch of layoffs. I've said absolutely nothing. Boom, player nukes his camp and Fallout 76.
I also made me like hopeful that certain people on the way out, they're like, hey, sign up for Fallout 76. We ride at dawn. We're gonna take on Phil.
Fallout just keeps going up in numbers.
Yeah. There's like a whole
Phil's
new
probably sitting
go.
Like, should we close another one? Look how many people are buying Fallout.
Yeah. I mean, so that's the thing, right? Like this is an Xbox related story, basically. So like that's the thing, right? Like they're closing these studios, which makes no sense because again, the statement of like we need award-winning games, and then you close Tango, right? But like they also are like, we're gonna focus on owned IP. Cool. You have so much owned IP that you have no idea what to do with half of it. Like, which IP? Like it's obvious that you're gonna make a new Fallout. We already know a new Elder Scrolls is in development, but like, what else are you gonna focus on? Like, you've got so much of that IP.
Just that. The big ones. The ones that make money. And like, I mean, that's why they did it, I think, ultimately, is they're going to get away from, I think, maybe possibly publishing as many of the smaller type games that they used to. And then the sad part is, I was thinking about this, again, not to turn your show into an Xbox show. The Game Pass thing works when you're making State of Decays and Evil Withins and stuff like that. And I think what we're maybe witnessing is that they've realized the math doesn't work when you're making Call of Duties and Fallouts and Elder Scrolls. It's a significantly more expensive venture. And there's lots of rumors that they might be doing some stuff with that and raising the price, all of which I think makes sense to me. But it might just be as simple as that. And I'm sure somebody has probably said that before. I'm sure that's not an epiphany. But I was thinking about that. I was like, just the development cost alone of like these new brands that they do. You think like Doom, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Call of Duty, Activision games, right? Blizzard, Overwatch, all that, compared to what they were doing 3 years ago. Hellblade and State of Decay, South of Midnight and Flight Sim. I'm like, yeah, no wonder they're probably like, oh goodness, yeah, it's cool that we bought these games and they make money, but they cost significantly more money to make. So
yeah. So like, here's the thing, right? Like, because like they've essentially trained their audience, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, and look, I am not excluding myself from that audience. Like, literally right here. Hi, this poster right here is literally an Xbox branded poster right here. You can't see it, but I've had this poster since 2015.
You can't see it, but trust me, guys, believe me.
I'm hitting it. I'm hitting it. I'm hitting it.
I'm hitting it. You hear it, listeners, listening. There's no damn poster on the wall. Not any damn poster on the wall at all.
It's my favorite Xbox games ever. I literally have a Quantum Break.
She's literally pointing at a picture of Final Fantasy, guys.
No, don't believe it's a CW Arrow calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, Arrow's over there. Do not lie to the people. Arrow is over
damn Canadians.
Also, don't mislead the people. I do not have Final Fantasy posters.
Yeah, you do. I see 3 of them.
I see.
What? Okay. Anyways,
this is why we need you on here, because I don't mess with Haley as much as you and Delvin do.
I definitely do.
It's 100% like they enjoy messing with me. It's great. Like they've essentially trained the audience to never buy games because that's what Game Pass is. So the moment they because there's rumors that with Call of Duty coming, they're gonna start like changing tiers of Game Pass, right? If one of those tiers does not include day one releases, you're like essentially telling your
I think it might.
I
might have a tier like that. I don't know what they would do. I think there've been lots of different rumors. I've been floating a first party only one. I think to me that makes the most sense. They've talked about having like a tier with ads or like a free to play tier. I could see them doing a tier of like, I wonder if they would like ever look at it like Nintendo does, like with like expansion packs and stuff, like maybe get like Xbox, but not like Activision and not Blizzard or not Bethesda. Like, I don't know if they would do anything like that. But there may be a timed, delay tier, and then you get the day one tier. And that's kind of like what EA does, like the vault type of thing. They may try to do something like that. Yeah. And people will be angry and they'll hate them forever. This is actually one that I would probably applaud, and I think makes total sense. Call of Duty is gigantic. It's huge. It makes a ton of money. It costs a lot of money to make. And if they're going to commit to putting a Call of Duty in Game Pass every year, I think the price probably realistically should go up. That makes sense to me.
I can see it as a selling point too. Like if you get this tier, you get Activision, you get Bethesda, you get, you throw out
EA.
some of your heavy
like
hitters.
EA is a part of it now, but like maybe they split that off into like an extra tier. I could see that.
So the question is, do they then make a tier that includes Ubisoft Plus? Which, by the way, here's a fun one for you.
At that point, you're just selling the whole store like that. Now you're just like subscribe for games instead of paying for them. It's like, here's the other thing. Like we've went too far on this already. I hate that we're doing this on the PlayStation show.
Actually, it's actually tangentially related to our next story.
Okay, so but we mentioned like tier and tier and tier, and I don't want 8 tiers to choose from. That's the problem with damn PlayStation Plus. Like it needs to be simple. Like just do like 2 tiers. Do the tier that has games and then the tier that has day one games, and like call it a day. Like that's it. Because they already have like the PC tier and the Ultimate tier and the console tier. It's too many tiers. I hate that.
And then they have core as well.
Yeah, like that's too much. Stop doing that.
It's kind of
for me, raise the price. Just raise the price and call it a day.
So like, if it's going to be like streaming for TV and movies and whatnot, where like we're seeing this like
streaming only tier makes a ton of sense.
Like I see that would be kind of good, but I see like all these services, all this stuff is going to like get too far out. Not enough like bandwidth is going to be able to hold it, and then it's going to consolidate again and go through the old pendulum swing.
We've seen this. We've seen it in games. We're seeing it right now in like television and streaming more. Like this is kind of where this path leads. So like this is not a surprise.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go to our main topic?
Sure.
So I found this on what used to be Gama Sutra. Now it's called Game Developer. When I was video game testing, I really liked reading Gama Sutra. It's some fun stuff. And one of the contributors here asked the questions like, why does EA think in-game ads are better business than a Mandalorian game? So a little expert here is
it probably is. That's the sad part.
That's the sad part.
That is the sad. Yeah.
So comments from Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson about the publisher pursuing in-game advertisement for its AAA games are relatively low potatoes, and yet they're the ones that made me say loud, "What are we doing here?" So this is definitely an opinion piece that I found here, and I work in advertising for my day job, so I found this very interesting as a potential new source, of business, especially when print and brochures and other things continue to go the way of the dinosaur. And I'm also curious to where the revenue would come and how intrusive are the ads, because I thought for years that they could throw up a banner or a little like small flash video while you're in a load screen and show an ad. Oof. Or but what I don't want them
sounds
to
very
do,
mobile like. Watch this ad to refill your coin bucket. It's like,
I don't want that. What I'm thinking more though is like if you're loading into Red Dead Redemption, for example, like there would be like a banner or something that pops up during the load screen.
Yeah, no,
but then I worry about developers saying we need more load screens because we got more ads to sell.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, we lose the streamlessness of certain games. Like RoboCop doesn't have this, but other games do, where like you continue to play and they hide the load screens very well.
Yeah.
So I'm of two minds of this. It also might help studios make more money, but it's definitely not going to make the games any cheaper.
I had a completely different take or a different direction when this happened, and I didn't dig into so much. I saw the headlines. EA wants to put ad in games. I was thinking product placement, which I think is such low-hanging fruit and something we should have been doing a long time by now. Cyberpunk, like why isn't those billboards flooded with like real things that you could sell and things like that? Or like when you're listening to the radio, why can't they have commercials on the radio stations? Like with the music and stuff like that. I think all of that's like fair game.
Donnie wants to play GTA with a 1-800-CARS-FOR-KIDS comes on the radio.
Hey, here's a throwback. Why are we not still doing this? Infamous 2 has Subway, like as an actual shop that you come across on the street. Like literal Subway as a shop in there. And it's like
that's the product placement stuff. I'm like, you could sell advertising space to companies for that very easily, and you could get things in there and incorporate things into the game so it doesn't feel so jarring and in your face and friction. Friction.
So instead of Burger Town and Call of Duty, you get Burger King, and then Burger King pays a certain amount of money.
Who cares?
If they stop paying or they only have a limited use for like a year or something of that nature, then you can send it out and maybe Carl's Jr. Picks it up or some other person willing to buy it. The product placement makes sense, and I don't mind ads in games as long as it's not distracting and they're not just pumping it full of ads or doing the mobile thing. But
what you were talking about, like with streaming, I think I could see that happening on the streaming stuff a lot.
Sure.
You can stream for free, but every 30 minutes or so, you get a commercial or an ad or something like that.
That would just encourage me to stop playing.
But that's what Tubi does, and that's what Amazon does. Like everybody else is getting away with it. Why not games?
Well, to be fair, I hate ads. So anytime
you could pay for a tier not to have them.
Well, that's my point. Is that like anytime a service is like, we're gonna add ads now, but you can pay more to not have them. Cool, sign me up.
Why did Amazon do it? And to go back to the original question, why did Amazon like force the ads? Because they make more on the ad tier than they do on the free tier.
Yep.
There you go.
Like they're hoping people don't pay the $3.99, and they're gonna add. And if a lot of people do, they'll raise it because they make more off the ad tier. If they can get you to watch ads, they'll make more off of that than they will your couple bucks.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as much as I would love to see a Mandalorian game, and I guess EA was working on one and it got scrapped with Respawn Entertainment, I think one IP popular game isn't going to make up for the deficits that we've been talking about this entire episode in the industry, where advertising revenue has a better track record of doing that.
The sad part is
for other
go to
industries.
ads.
Yeah.
They'll go to ads. They'll be successful. They'll make a bunch of money. That'll become the new normal. And then when that stops to grow, then they'll start firing, and that'll just be the new normal. We'll just have more ads than ever. Like, that's how this works, right? We just
all of a sudden the marketing departments are getting cut left and right.
Yeah, we just keep scratching and clawing until we're all putting quarters into our PlayStation 8s again every 8 minutes. And it seems like the cynical one in me is like, this is a line that you really want to hold. Right? Like, as a consumer, this is a line where you're like, absolutely don't support that shit. Well,
because again, like all the reasonable things that I feel like I've been mentioning, they're not going to do. They're going to take this to extreme. They're going to push it. They're going to try to make as much money as possible. And yeah, it's very interesting though. And they've heard about this they've been hearing this for years. Like, I've heard like, oh, we're going to potentially be putting ads, and they haven't done it yet. So maybe, this is just one of those undercurrents that kind of comes up to the surface every once in a while, but never really moves forward.
The thing is that like older games kind of did have product placement. Like Skate 3 had like Dr. Pepper machines everywhere.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I mentioned Quantum Break. It had Nissan billboards everywhere. Like I don't know why they stopped doing that.
Yeah, I mean, even with like the car racing games, you think there'd be billboards everywhere. The baseball games, the sports games, that seems very easy to have banners and whatnot.
Even media properties. You get in some of these sports games, and like you could easily promote like a YouTube channel or a media outlet or a podcast. And I'm sure there's people that would love to pay for that sort of influence and those sort of eyeballs.
Are we going to scrape together some pennies for the play some video games
PSVG
banner?
What would
the
we
PSVG banner?
No More Heroes. Listen to PSVG and No More Heroes 4. Like something like that.
I mean, yeah, that would make sense.
That's kind of fun.
It's just it's a weird situation to be in where like ads are more profitable than like IP franchise.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of bouncing back and forth when I was reading this guy's opinion piece. Because I would totally buy a Star Wars Mandalorian game. It feels like a video game already, the series. Like, a guy finds his new quest, he gets his armor upgraded, he goes to the next quest. I would love to play as a Mandalorian. I think you could have a fun shooter of some kind. And you could even have a little Grogu, and you can, make the little baby Yoda do Force things. I think it definitely could have some potential.
$4.99.
$4.99.
The latest thing coming out on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I mean,
well, you can only buy the Mandalorian game if you buy a year worth of Disney Plus, right?
Speaking of, it's like on Disney Plus now. You can go from watching the latest Star Wars or Marvel thing to here's Doctor Who or Welcome to Wrexham. I don't know. I'm just throwing out random products that I know are on there now. Like, it's so weird, like the way that certain things own different IP, right? Like,
yes. Yeah.
We worry for a day where one day you log into Disney Plus and all of your games and stuff are there, right? They just start absorbing all of the stuff into them. Something else to think about. If you weren't scared of that already, stick that in the back of your brain there. Think of that.
Okay. How do I go back 5 minutes ago when Donnie hadn't mentioned that?
Yeah.
I mean, Disney has definitely acquired a lot of properties over the years.
It just seems like we're in a really like tectonic plate type of situation with the whole industry right now. And I'm not saying it's like doom and glooming, right? But it just seems like there's a lot of things up for grab. And,
look, Sony wants to buy Paramount, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it just seems like all of these roads seem like they kind of might be traveling
lead
down that
to
road
like
at some point.
4 companies.
You see Netflix. Yeah, Netflix is like getting into games. They're doing game publishing and stuff like. It's like, okay.
The Netflix thing is still baffling to me. But
you remember when internet service providers were like going to own the games? Because like you download, they remember that was like a fear, like, right? It kind of feels like we're on one of those fear type stages right now. We're like, this might be something we talk about for a couple of years, whether it ever happens or not, But.
Yeah,
I can see it now. You get Mickey Mouse out there, like, give me all your stuff.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I think after our conversation, I don't really want to see ads in games, and I'd rather see The Mandalorian. But I don't think that's also a realistic outcome either.
I'm with you.
It's fun to watch more ads.
If people reject it, if enough people reject it, you can stop it. And this is one of those things where I think you can. But especially with EA, there are a lot of people who don't like EA to begin with. So if EA ventures first here, it'd be hard. Now, if a beloved somebody ventures first, then people might adopt it and pave the way for EA.
Well, but again, if it's not egregious and they do mission creep, where like at first you're like, who cares, whatever, and then down the line, some exec somewhere is like, no, we need to make more money. This is what we're doing. Screw the fans.
This gets back to who's that guy that he used to start talking about like wanting to sell his bullets and stuff, like make everything a microtransaction. You remember that guy?
That was also Andrew Wilson.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Andrew Wilson, was it? It's the guy before Andrew Wilson.
Oh, sorry. It's an EA executive, which is why I know it was an EA guy, but
is that the dude that went to I want to say, is that the Embracer guy?
Maybe.
I think it might be the Embracer guy. He used to be EA and he wanted Battlefield to sell bullets like ammo.
Yeah.
This is slippery slope. You start going down this road and developers and publishers will come up with all kinds of ways to monetize a game. It's like they'll give it to you in 1080p, pay a little extra for the 4K version, pay extra for 60 frames. You can anything you can itemize out if you really wanted to.
You're going to start selling controllers and you're going to have to buy the buttons separately. Yeah, no, I was thinking too, wasn't it Diablo 3 who launched with the auction house, right? Where you could actually spend real life money on games, items, and that didn't go well.
It did not go well.
It's been rejected. This sort of thing has been rejected in gaming many times in the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
We've all the way back to the horse armor and stuff. People seem to have been resistant to this. Mordor almost crashed and burned because of it. Like just add that out of the get-go.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think there's hope in gamers. Gamers don't want all this stuff, but they're gonna find a way. Like it's clear as day. They keep testing the boundary.
Yeah.
Right. They're gonna keep pushing because that's what they gotta do.
Well, we're just to repeat ourselves, I guess, a little bit. You just put the ads where it makes sense and people won't really notice. And as long as people aren't really getting offended and notice these things, you could potentially make some side money. Like I do like the idea of product placement. Yep.
Do that. Like put it in your marketing. Like you have marketing event. You know how many people are going to read your trailer. Sell a 5-second spot. Put Mountain Dew in front of GTA 6. Do that. Don't put it in the damn game. Do that instead.
Didn't Final Fantasy just do that with Mountain Dew?
I wouldn't know. I don't watch Final Fantasy.
I don't either. But
that'd be crazy though if I just pulled that out of a hat and they're like, yeah, they did that. That game. Wow.
I'm pretty sure there's actually a promotion going on for Final Fantasy 14 with Mountain Dew. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Like how many times was the GTA 5 trailer viewed over the last decade?
Oh my God. It's like
that's an insane number. Like just put an ad, like an unskippable ad in that bad boy and make your money that way.
This trailer is brought to you by Heat Tap.
When you say unskippable ad, do you mean baked in or like an
baked
ad
into the video? No. You could skip it, but it's.
I hate that so much. I pay for no ads, and y'all bake your fucking ads into your goddamn videos.
This is what happens when. This is what happens when instead of making videos, you make content.
Right.
Like it all started. We just wanted to share photos and videos. Now it's content. So this is what happens.
The guy pay for YouTube Premium to not get ads, and I'm still getting them because y'all are baking them into your freaking videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I would too if they gave me money. I'll tell you that right now.
So,
all right.
You're gonna miss the good old days. You're gonna sound like the old men shouting at the clouds.
Oh, we do sound like that a lot already.
Yeah, it's easy to feel like if you've been around for a while. It's easy to sound like that.
I remember a time when instruction manuals had more than 2 pages.
Yeah. It was like whole damn collector's edition. Whole damn book inside of it. What'd you say, Haley?
What's an instruction manual?
What's an instruction manual? They don't even come with the game anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you get digital art books.
Yeah,
I don't want your digital art book because it's a separate download. If it
costs extra for it
files itself, I don't.
You're gonna pay more for it too.
I think RoboCop had one, and I was downloading 2 files and didn't know what it was. And then as soon as I realized it was an art book, and I'm like, and I have plenty of memory on my PlayStation 5, and I
So
was
do
like,
I. I still don't
fucking
want the art
deleting
book
this
downloaded.
shit. What the fuck is this?
I
don't
I
need like
have-
the art of RoboCop. Oh, look, he's shiny.
The art of RoboCop.
Like if I want an art book, I will actually physically buy the art book. Like I have.
Do you
the
get
Last of Us
soundtracks?
art book.
Yeah, I like that when they put the soundtrack in your library. It's like,
soundtrack could
what
be
good does
okay.
this do me in my
But here's the
library?
thing, like for
I just
Spotify,
put
on
this
the
on my
playlist,
Spotify. Yeah,
I already have RoboCop's theme on my Spotify playlist for
Yeah.
classical movies and whatnot. So, yeah. Star Wars, Lego, Mando, Lego, Star Wars could be fun.
So before we get to questions, we didn't have this in the doc, but I guess I should mention it anyways. There is the current rumor of a Horizon Lego game.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
heard
brought
about
that up.
that.
I'm interested to talk to you guys about this.
Yes. So current rumor is that it'll be announced whenever Sony does their show, which apparently is supposed to be this month. But we're kind of itching towards the end of May here, and Sony still hasn't announced the show. So
that's okay.
Don't know if they're doing one.
It's gonna be this week.
Probably, knowing our luck, yeah. So it'll
as soon as this drops, they'll announce.
Yeah. I don't know. A Horizon Lego game would be interesting for sure. The current rumor is that it's like, so maybe I don't know.
That was the first thing I thought of, because like, yeah, it's gonna be exclusive because right? Like because PlayStation, it's gonna be exclusive. But there's like a very small, like maybe a 1% chance in the back of my brain where I'm like, why would you make a Lego game? Why would you make a Lego Horizon game? And like to me, it's like to reach younger players, to like get people on this. Like they clearly see the Horizon IP as a franchise that'll exist outside of like their core game business, right? They're doing a TV show or something. They probably want to do movies. They probably want to do merchandise. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so if you're doing Horizon Legos, I'm starting to see Horizon more like Jurassic Park. You know, it's like if you're doing a Lego game and you want to reach younger players and get them into the thing, part of me would like to pitch like, you should probably put it on Switch. They're not going to, because they want those younger players to play PlayStations, but it's just in the back of my head. Like, I know they're not going to. I'm not even actually hoping that they are. I'm just saying, like, it makes sense. Like, if you're trying to reach a younger demographic and you're making an exclusive Lego game, why would you restrain it so much? I'm sure it'll come to PC. So it'll be fine.
Definitely PC. I don't know about the other platforms. I wonder,
I would be fully open for it being
like if there was a game for them to do something like that with, like, wouldn't that be the one? Like, absolutely. I thought Helldivers was it, and then they come along, like, if they're making a Lego Horizon game, I'm like, oh, you should put that everywhere and let that thing just like sell as much as it can, because if people like it and if players find it, they'll find Horizon.
That's what I was thinking. That it would support the, or even like maybe not the kids that they're aiming for the Lego, but like an older teenager or adult.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So
if you've never played it, never heard
Horizon,
of it,
and like, oh, Lego version, like, oh, what's that? And then they go down the rabbit hole, and
that's exactly where my head was when I saw the rumor. I was like, they should. If it were me, I'd put this thing on everything.
Yeah. I do want to also point out that, like, when Donnie, you mentioned the television show, I want to point out again to folks that the current rumored also Horizon remake, that's because of the TV show. It is absolutely like because they want simplicity. They don't like, it's the same thing with The Last of Us, where they don't want to have to explain backwards compatibility to people. Just go, here's a game, you can play it. Like,
I found the XP chat room to be kind of a bummer on this one. I think there's a lot you can do to Horizon.
Yes. Yep.
Horizon came out a long time ago.
Yes, it did.
It's not Horizon 2. It's not Horizon Forbidden West. Like, technically, there's a lot different. There's a huge difference. And I'm wondering if there's like some revisionist memory, some rose tinted glasses there for people. Like, the original Horizon doesn't look like Horizon Forbidden West. No, there's a lot of technology upgrades, and of course, you can talk about all the buzzwords. You talk about trace those rays, bro, and all that stuff. Like, they can do that stuff. But even like just sheer lighting, and a different lighting engine could go, like more foliage, more, stuff out in the world, like more models and stuff. Like, there's a lot you could do to a deluxe definitive edition, whatever you want to call it, an up-res of the original Horizon.
Part of me also wonders if they want to change the combat system to be more in line with Forbidden West, because they changed how the weapons worked in Forbidden West. Because like in Zero Dawn, you could have like 60 arrows fire, 60 arrows regular. But then they reduced those limits to like 36 for each weapon.
They may want to match like UI elements and maybe include the digital art book in the game. Like put that in there. Snurts is a big fan.
Gotta get that art book.
I think there's a lot of stuff that they can add to make this feel like a more worthy upgrade than maybe some of the other upgrades that they've done. I don't think these are the same.
And there we go. We do have confirmation that yes, Mountain Dew is doing Final Fantasy 14 right now.
Nice.
Mountain U.
Mountain U.
So my question is this whoever's developing the Lego games, is this them just buying IP from Sony?
Probably.
So that's a good question. Is Traveler's Tale going, we want to make a Horizon game, license us the IP that we can put wherever we want? Or did PlayStation come to them and go, we want you to make a game for us?
That's what I'm wondering.
A great question.
That's what I'm really wondering.
Way, I would assume it's Traveler's Tales developing this because they're the Lego people.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're the Lego people. They're going to do the game.
Right. Yeah. So then I wonder if Sony puts something in the clause that says they only can come out on PlayStation and PC, or if they had some kind of negotiations where like, no, we're just giving you money so we can have this IP.
Would it be day and date?
We're going to release everything
like
everywhere.
Console exclusive.
I don't know.
I would hope it's day and date. They've already mentioned that like they're looking at moving to day and date for PC release.
So I don't know if you guys know this about me. One of the things that I share with a former host of this show is that I am rather fond of those Lego games. I like them quite a bit. And a Horizon Lego game is something like I want to play. When I first saw this rumor a couple weeks ago, I was like, yo, that sounds dope. Like it's kind of really excited.
I like Lego games a lot, actually. So
because I would imagine that you get very playful with it. I mean, ride around and fly dinosaurs and shit in stupid Lego world. Like, it seems fun.
Yarden, no, there has never been a platform exclusive Lego game.
Never. That's where I think I even mentioned that, right? When I first brought it up, I was like, yo, this is weird. Are we about to start making exclusive Lego games like for kids? Like what? That's kind of where my head was. I was like, maybe now hang on. Lego City was exclusive to Wii U for a moment.
I was going to say yes. There's been one Lego City Undercover, but it did eventually release everywhere. It is on PlayStation and Xbox now.
Yeah, but yeah, again, if you're trying to treat Horizon like it's a multimedia franchise to reach new people, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the games fall into that because like the other games, they're not available on Xbox or Switch or anything else. So there's no precedence to make it's just because it's Lego. It just feels weird having exclusive Lego game, I guess.
Yeah, it
does. I haven't played too many of the Lego games myself. I have a Star Wars
game
on 3DS that's like rather old.
So my
the Skywalker one.
Is it the old style where there's no audio, or is it the new style where there's voice acting? Because I would really love if it was the old style where like they do all of the like gags with the Lego characters.
The cutscenes are voiced, the in-game are dialogue.
I mean
memory serves.
No, I mean like the older ones where there was no dialogue at all. They were just like doing the bits and gags. That'd be
they would do like the miming and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Skywalker definitive remake or whatever is very nice.
I heard it's really good.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Don't they even have Darth Jar Jar coming out on one of those Lego games? I saw that somewhere in there. And I've always liked that. I've always liked that joke.
Ago.
Also, I should point out Darth Jar Jar Binks is actually canon. Like that's a real thing now. It's not like some fan thing. Like
goodness.
He is a Sith Lord.
Stop this train. Getting off this train right here.
Misa Ben Evil also.
Oh, stop.
All right, let's move on to questions.
All right. Well, question 1 from Smokin' Joe.
We already answered this earlier, remember?
Yeah, that's right. Good job, Haley. Moving on to John 32. What would have to show up at a Sony showcase next month to make you lose your shit?
I'm going to give the same answer I always do. It's Infamous.
Anything Infamous related. Remake, port, new game. Who gives a shit? Just Infamous.
Yep.
PC ports, whatever. Digital soundtrack, art book, novel. Just acknowledge that the series exists would be great.
Yeah,
that'd go a long way for
literally.
me.
I mean, I would also.
That seems the most feasible out of
They could
all
announce a Kickstarter again, and this one I'd actually be excited about.
I would also lose my mind if they brought Sunset Overdrive out, which they've referenced multiple times. Like, just port in Sunset Overdrive. I would love it.
Play your Xbox.
Actually, here's a very fun story for you, Donnie.
Deck.
I own it on Steam. I can play it on my computer right now. I would love to earn trophies for it. Anyways, here's a fun story for you. I was counting a store the other day, and they had a section of video games I had to count. The store still had in stock copies of sealed Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
It was
I come across those every so often. Yeah, and that one didn't do very well.
Which makes me sad. It was good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what would make me lose my shit, and the only thing I can think of is stupid, non-real answers, like the developers of Arkham Asylum games doing like a Daredevil, which I know is never going to happen. And then I was thinking like, oh, they'll announce that Gears of War is coming out on Sony PlayStation day one, for the new one. So that's
Sean Donnie's here. So Sean, you missed the news. With all the things going on over there, like,
yeah,
I'm just filling in for Delvin. I was gonna say I need the RoboCop people to do Judge Dredd.
Oh, that would be easy. Yes, do it now. I would even like a Demolition Man.
Hey man, give me The Boys video game. Give me a video game on The Boys. Like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that'd be the next Suicide Squad. F up.
Do not jinx me with that. If they make a Boys video game and it is live service,
that's exactly what it's going to be.
Actually,
that's seen what they just did. Yeah, that's exactly. That's probably what happened. They watched The Boys. They're like, we can do this with Batman.
I can see it now. You got your heroes right then before they're taking the Compound V and all that other stuff. They just have guns.
Hold on a sec. Do they base it off the comics, which are much more vile than the television show, or do they base it off the television show?
I think they would have to go with the television show just for like recognition, because like you would see like the same kind of character models and look and feel, and that would be like
they just put Buddy in like a Mortal Kombat, right?
They did put Homelander in Mortal Kombat, yes.
Oh, so does that mean you can have...
Interestingly enough, the only character not voiced by his actual actor in
really?
like cameo character.
Couldn't afford it. They cut down the cost. They couldn't.
All of the cameo characters that Mortal Kombat has ever done have been voiced by their respective actors, except Homelander.
Does that mean you can have Omni-Man fight Homelander?
Yes, you can have Omni-Man fight a Homelander. Yes.
Which, I gotta get into one of these fighters.
It is always hilarious online to see people going, Homelander would smoke Omni-Man and Superman at the same time. I'm like, that is not at all how that works.
This year is probably going to be the year because like all these things came out. They're getting their DLC and stuff. Like this upcoming winter, they're probably going to be on pretty good discounts. You probably going to get that Street Fighter, that Mortal Kombat, that Tekken game.
It sucks because it's been a rough little bit here. So we're picking up again now, but like Mortal Kombat 1 is on a decent discount for the Ultimate Edition right now. Can't afford it.
What's the discount? It's like 35, 40?
No. Well, probably in the States. Here it's like $70 for the.
I haven't seen anything drop below. So I'm not that into fighting games. I like them, but I'm not very good at them, so I don't buy them on day one. Same. So like my realm to get into like a fighting game to just play the story is like $20-$25.
Okay.
So
it's the Ultimate Edition, which here regular is like $135. So it was $69.99 when I looked at it on the store earlier. So
I think the Mortal Kombat team who also did Injustice have a good thing going where their story mode is very fun. You could put it on the easiest difficulty level, and you're kind of just having an interactive story. So it's like, oh, here's a new chapter, and now punch people. Here's another chapter.
Yeah, I love Injustice for them as well.
And I thought it was really fun. And if it's free or under $20, I've definitely been buying those up. I fell out of love with Street Fighter. I'm kind of over that whole franchise.
Never been a Street Fighter person. I did play Marvel vs. Capcom though a lot.
Yeah,
so.
that one was great. And
the new Street Fighter just really captured me. Like eventually, I was like, "This looks really fun."
I would try it, but I don't know if I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I still go back and play Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z whenever I'm in the mood for a fighter game because I love Arc Systems and I love their combos and they make it real easy. And
you see the new one?
Strikers
or whatever.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that looked their trailer that they showed looked incredible.
Really,
it looked really good. I was like, Spark Force. Is that it?
Sparks or something like that? Hold on, let me look it up.
Yeah,
it might be.
When I saw that, I was like, I've got to do that. And I think they just came out. I saw on Reddit. I think there's a trailer somewhere listed. It is coming out this year.
It's Sparking Zero.
See, I knew it was something dumb like that. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I love DBZ, some of the names are ridiculous.
Oh, so dumb.
So we'll see. I guess with the showcase, I am looking forward to some kind of news that's not just studio business related and can actually focus on the games. So hopefully we get some cool demos for the showcase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yarden wants to know if Snurts and Haley can convince Donnie to buy another PS5. And my short answer is doubtful.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, really? I'm not that far away.
Did I use reverse psychology and convince you?
No, it's been that way for some time. I'll tell you, the best thing that they did was they made the Slim.
Yeah.
The Slim goes a long way for me where the original one doesn't. I still don't know because I don't have official measurements, but like I wonder if the Slim will fit in my cubby. I don't think so. Like that's kind of a big part of me is I want to fit it in the cubby.
Yeah, the PS5 is a whale of a system. My God, it's so big.
It's like the one that I did have before. I would have to just sit on top of the cubby, and it just looks so out of place. I have this giant spire like off into the ceiling. It's really just a matter of games. If they have enough games to make me feel like it's worth having and not waiting on the PC version, right? Like the reason I got rid of the one that I had before is like a VR for most people. It would go 6, 8, 9 months without even being turned on. And it's just like, why even have this? I've got a lot of things I can play games on, but I don't have a lot of time to play all the games and all the things that I have for them. So that's been my general reason for not owning one. If there was an Infamous game on it, I'd have one for sure. I'm not missing that. If they remastered an Infamous game, I'd get one. I'd pick one up that day.
Do you have a PS4? Do you have a PS4 locked up in the closet somewhere?
Yeah, I have an Uncharted one.
Yeah. Okay. So if the Infamous game comes out on PS4 and PS5, then you don't even have to get a PS5.
No, but
Donnie
would.
Donnie would get the PS5.
I'd want the newest one. I'd want the best version of it. And there's been rumors that like there's an Astrobot game coming. Like that's the first one in a long time where I'm like, maybe. I love Astrobot. I love all like Sackboy, Astrobot. Like great. I want more of these things. I miss the days when PlayStation had Little Big Planet and Little Big Planet Karting and Mod Nation Racers, and they had like some of these Nintendo-like things, in between, their epics. And it really felt like from that time they just went all in on the adult themed, like they're the HBO, like their first party is just HBO now, right? It's all just like really big cinematic experience, which I do love. Don't get me wrong, I love God of War, love The Last of Us. This is all great, but I wanted more of those too. And they've all like we've lost Hot Shots Golf, we've lost Infamous, we've lost Little Big Planet, and we've lost
Sly Cooper,
all of those things. And those things were like my shit, though. Like like it seemed like all of that stuff was some of my favorite things to do with PlayStation. So
you had the crashes and the spirals of old too, right?
I never did Crash personally, except for Crash Team Racing. CTR was the GOAT, top tier racing game. Love that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, people ask sometimes like, "Oh, what should I use for platforming? Should I get a Sony or a Nintendo?" And I'm like, if you like platforming, go with Nintendo all day, every day.
100%.
It's Sony. You're right. It has a very similar. Like I'm looking at my PS5 games, and they're all this, epic storylines with interesting characters that level up,
blockbuster cinematic type stuff. Big superheroes, big.
Whether you're talking about Ghost or God of War, like it is Spider-Man. A very similar theme. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if they're about to show us a showcase where there's like, I won't even say Infamous because I don't think that exists. So let's say like somewhat reasonable. If that Lego Horizon game is really awesome, and there's like an Astrobot game that looks like a 3D Mario game, but it's Astrobot and stuff, like I could be tempted to maybe pick up that Slim if I can find a good deal on it, which is actually the case that I would have made for you guys. If this PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, then I can expect to sift through a wave of people trying to get rid of their systems to upgrade. And maybe I can pick up a deal on a nice digital Slim for like $200-$250, something like that. That's another thing, is that their console hasn't been like impulse purchasable. It's been $500, and then it went up for a moment. Like it was more than that even. I was just like, if I could get that thing in like Wii territory where it's like, I'll pick it up, play it for the weekend or whatever. We'll see what it's like. I could see myself owning another one day for sure. I'm definitely not anti PlayStation. I honestly wish they made more. Like this isn't a new thing. This has been a thing going on for years. I mean, Haley, you've listened to us for a long time. Like, Snurts, I was the same. I 360, and then I switched to PlayStation 4, like everybody, like the majority of people did at the time. And I eventually found my way back to Xbox probably because of Gears, but I think more so I just kind of, after Second Son and Hot Shots, after Everybody's Golf, like that kind of felt like they stopped kind of doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us 2 was kind of a bullet for me. That was kind of the last one. It's like, okay,
that was the last of you.
But I have stuck around, and I've beat Forbidden West, and I still maintain appearances, I guess is the way of putting it. If there's something there for me to show up for, I will.
I mean,
Stellarblade is there.
Like Donnie still hasn't played Ragnarok, and are you going to when it comes to PC or
eventually? Yeah. Ragnarok was like maybe the one time that I really got tested, and I just came through it, and I really haven't had that that FOMO, the urge to have another console yet. And I mean, a big part of it is PC. Again, going back to my things about Xbox, like you can say you're going to do all these things and put your games everywhere, but they do come at a cost. And the cost right me for PlayStation is, if it's not just like one game. I need multiple games to justify having a console. Otherwise, I'll just wait and I'll play them on my PC whenever they show up 2 or 3 years later.
And you're not really the like superhero person, so I don't expect Spider-Man to like keep you in. So
I bought Spider-Man for my son, but I could care less about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like we have it. I beat the first one. I beat Miles Morales. I like them both. They're fine. I mean, I would rather have Infamous. But like, I'm just not that into superheroes. I think that's more of that than anything else. Just like just kind
of, superheroes are my thing. You know that. So
yeah, we like the superheroes
and Delvin's, so
and the comics and stuff. Yeah. It's just never been like honestly, it's never been my gig. Snurts. We did a whole thing when the MCU thing was like kind of coming up. We did a whole thing where I watched all of the movies in order, because for years I would just make fun of everybody for watching these things and going crazy.
I've heard you go on rants about capes
before. And I watched them all in order in 1 year.
Yeah.
To make Dev buy a Switch. Like it was just vindictiveness. He was like, if you watch all of these in what was it for in-game or whatever
I
had to watch them all. So I had to sit through like 8 terrible Thor movies to make him buy a Nintendo Switch.
It's funny you mentioned this because I just started rewatching the MCU and I'm already up to Thor 1. So
that's when you stop watching the MCU.
Thor 1 and 2 is that's rough.
There's a couple Hulks in there, like it's not great, most of it.
Okay, I do not watch the Incredible Hulk movie. I always skip that one. Fuck that
now,
movie. That movie is terrible.
Well, I didn't have that option. I had to watch them all.
Yeah, the one with Edward Norton, right?
Yeah. But I'm glad I did. Because
hold on, at that time, that wasn't part of the MCU. Dev cheated you.
No, but it was retconned into being part of the MCU.
I had to watch them all, and I'm actually glad I did, because by the time we reached the end, we were there for all the hype of the final movie, and that felt great. And then they were like, "We're doing it again," and I was like, "Now I'm done. Now I'm like, I'm not doing this again."
Yeah, that's okay. It's, we don't have to like everything here. Like you'll start talking about Formula One or basketball, and my eyes just or wrestling, and my eyes just kind of glaze over.
My favorite part is anytime that Donnie apologizes to me, and I'm like, I know what I signed up for. You're good.
Yeah, that did make me laugh when I was watching, because I do have the Wednesday episode usually in the background while I'm cooking dinner and playing games and whatnot, and I did catch that, and it made me laugh because Haley was just kind of staring off into the void.
That's me when I listen to this show and they start going on about green flashlight and stuff. I'm like, okay, like,
yeah.
So I can't do it live because I need the skip button when I'm live, and I'm like, oh, I can't move forward. This is awful.
Maybe we should find a way to have a wrap it up box, so we have it ready to go. It's like, okay, it's been 30 minutes
for microtransactions.
Cape Talk.
Right? That's where we're going. Like, instead of having the in-game ads, like just have hey, do you want to skip this boss fight? Give us $2.99. They should have a pay for achievements button. You didn't have to play; just buy the trophy.
But see, I don't like doing that. I already told you that. Like, it took all the fun out of me wanting to replatinum The Last of Us Part 2. Like, it literally, it auto popped for me. It took all the fun out of it.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Also, then I would just be so sad if I knew someone who's like, I just spent $50 on trophies.
They would, though. How much money do you think they could sell? How much money do you think they could make if they sold achievements?
Are you getting all the achievements for one bundle pack, or are you buying them individually for the game?
I think you buy them individually.
Right? So it's like $20 for all of them, or it's like 50, if it's like 50 cents a trophy.
50 cents each.
Something like that.
It's like people could play them and then maybe buy the ones they don't want to, or buy the multiplayer ones, or things like that.
Or tier it up, so bronze is 25, silver is like 75, and then the top tier, whatever.
There's your money.
Is like
don't let Jim Ryan hear this. Me calling Hideaki real quick. Got a great idea.
And then they go back to the quarter crunching method for games where they make bosses so cheap and just like terrible.
I'm telling you,
to fight,
That's all it sounds like. It sounds like for the last 15 years, like there's just been this dying urge to get us back to arcades. It's like, how can we make people pay us per minute? Is like what they're trying to do. Like, how do we get more money out of them, as they play?
So one of my favorite Simpsons game is the old EA one from the 360 PS3 era. And they run into it's when you're playing as a family and Homer can turn into a giant ball, or Bart is like Bartman, or Marge is kind of like a real-time strategy.
Simpsons movie game?
No, it's just called the Simpsons game. And it came out on the 360 EA came out with it because I was working at EA at the time and I got that game for $10. That was one of the perks of working in the studios. You would get $10 games. And one of the things I like,
you work here and make it, and give us some money. Damn, can't even get the free game.
And pay was only $11 an hour.
Damn, the NCAA kids get a free copy of the game.
Yeah. But they have this great moment in the Simpsons game where like the current game characters meet their 8-bit selves. And the 8-bit selves are like, oh, you completed a level? Like, how many lives did you have left? What was your high score? Was there a time limit? And they're like, no, there wasn't any of that. We kind of just completed the level. And then they all start like laughing at each other. It's like, oh, look at these losers. They're just completing a level. So that with this whole quarter crunching and changing of like monetization for video games, that definitely came to my mind as we were talking.
It's not lost on me how sad statement that I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to this $10 game thing. That is such like an indictment on the games industry.
Yeah,
you just say that out loud. It's like the people that make the game have to pay $10 for the game.
Oh, dude, my personal
I figured
opinion
they would just have like a box of copies. Like, everybody get your copy. We've went cold. Like, here's your
you got a free game that you worked on. So like any game you worked on, you got a free copy for. But they had a storefront,
but not all of them in the company,
right? And actually, I think I got the pricing wrong. Its consoles were $20 for the game.
Oh my goodness!
And PC was $10. But to
you
me,
think there'd be like Steam codes for everybody?
Yeah. My 2 years, very limited experience, only worked at 3 studios, but there's a reason I'm not working in that industry anymore, because it is toxic as hell. And like, especially working in QA, you were definitely treated like a second-class citizen most of the time.
That's how I got my actually, I don't think you know this, Starts, because you never hear me. I have a couple items here, like this skateboard.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I have the Naughty Dog Collector's Edition art book that they released.
Okay.
And they're all signed by the studio folks. And that's how I got them. Is I came across a former QA dev for Naughty Dog, and he had these sitting in his closet, and he hated working there.
Yeah.
That's why they were in his closet. He never put them on display or anything. He's like, I hated it there. Like, I couldn't wait to leave. And I was like, do you want these? He was like, make me an offer. And I did. And I brought them home, put them up on the wall.
I still have hanging on my wall the Lord of the Rings Conquest poster that was signed by everybody at the studio in Pandemic. And that is, I look at that and I'm still like, that makes me feel good. You know,
Yeah. I was surprised, but when he talked to him, he's like, I couldn't stand it there.
Yeah, well, I understand that too, because Luxoflux was a terrible studio to work for, and it's the reason I got soured out on the whole industry. When you're dealing with toxic people who have egos, when everyone's trying to kiss the ass of the executives so they get over to Treyarch to work on the next Call of Duty game instead of focusing on like making this studio that you're working a part of like a nice place to work for everybody at all levels.
Stepping stone.
Yeah, I mean, I also remember like someone was on a break smoking cigarettes, and I was like, I'll get some fresh air. I'll go outside too. And one of the big developers or one of the executive producers, somebody comes out and it's just like, oh, you tester guys have the easiest gig around. You just smoke a bunch of pot and play the video game all day long. And I'm like, no.
He made it sound like it was very kind of like the whip, like the lash of the whip thing, that they were constantly like, you gotta play, you gotta get the hours in. They're constantly playing. And he's like, just imagine playing your favorite game in its most broken state indefinitely for a year. Like, oh God.
That is not too far off. So when I was working at Luxoflux, we had roll call in the morning, so you had to be in your seat by 9 a.m. and then lunch was always at 12, and then they did another roll call at 1 to make sure everybody got back, and then there was a roll call after dinner at 6:30.
Yeah, see, he kept talking about like the regimentation, like the schedule and everything. You know, it wasn't like you just kind of go out to work and work, you know, amongst your coworkers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we were for Luxoflux. I'll continue to shit on them because I didn't fuck them. The QA wasn't even the main floor with the rest of the developers. We were in a side room that was down the hall and it had terrible air conditioning. So we had like, and I used to work next to Jabroni, who was sweating his fucking ass off.
Oh,
and he would like, you know, we would share a computer. There would be the TV and the console to play, a computer to share, and then the next person would have their TV and console, and you would share a computer to write up bugs. So this guy would like eat his pizza for lunch and then come back and just smear it all over, and it's super disgusting. Everybody was very, very immature, and you know, and the food was shit. It's not like you're getting like fucking sugarfish and getting some nice sushi like we do for the edit bays at my current job. Like you were getting like pasta, and I remember at EA specifically, they said everybody gets half a meatball.
Fucking
meatball, and I went to go grab a whole meatball, and my supervisor scolded me for taking a half a meat. It was like it's a fucking so it's just basically pasta with some like shitty red sauce, and
you wonder, like we say it all the time in throwaway, but you know people say it all the time, like you wonder how these things ever come out. You wonder how
me too. Made. Yeah, and especially with that when I worked at Pandemic, we had a licensing for Lord of the Rings that was expiring like February. So the game had to come out. So they were just rushing shit left and right. And there was a DLC character who, and I don't remember the character's name from Lord of the Rings, but she was Aragorn's girlfriend, the elf who Erwin. And so there was a miscommunication, and she was supposed to be in that badass armor when she's crossing the river and summoning like the horse water gods or whatever to take out
Arwen. Had that wrong.
Arwen?
I thought I did. I was like, no, that's wrong.
I mean, but you were pretty close there, but
but like when I said it, I knew something was off. I'm not sure if you saw me. I was like, Arwen. I was like,
literally, yeah.
No, don't think that's it.
Yeah. And so, there was this miscommunication, and the character model came out, and she was wearing a dress. And they're like, wait, where's the badass armor? And she's like, well, no one gave me notes. The artist was working on this for months. And she just Googled like something and looked up, and this was what she was wearing. So that's what she did. And there was no supervising, no notes, so that's just one small example there. And then another issue is my buddy and I, Brenton and I, were bugging the melee combat for Lord of the Rings Conquest because it was not working. We were playing as the rogue and the warrior. We were not able to hit these archers or mages. And we went to the guy who was making the combat, and he said, it's not getting any better. We do not have fast enough internet connection. So what's going to happen is if you think somebody's at point A, they're really at point C. So you're swinging your sword at point A, but there's nobody there, even though it looks like there's somebody there on your screen. And I'm like, and if that's a known shippable, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's just terrible.
It was a very interesting experience.
I need a new good Lord of the Rings game, like in the worst kind of way.
So it's a shame, really, that like all the microtransaction nonsense kind of killed the Shadow of Mordor series.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great series. I do too. I'll still hop onto it. I mean, that Nemesis system was amazing.
No, I will go back and play them as well, but I would love a new one. The unfortunate thing is we're not going to get one.
Well, you think with like the Prime series that's out now, like we're in a good opportunity to piggyback off of that.
They just greenlit new movies, right?
Yeah.
We're getting like a prequel, like Gollum thing that they're going to do. Or not a prequel. They're hunting down Gollum and stuff like that. And they said that's not like that's like
Gollum.
It's like 3 movies though. That's not like a one-off. They've got multiple movies in the
They can only do 3 movies. There's no physical. It's physically impossible for any.
Yeah, they can only.
It's the rule of 3. And
3 at a time.
To the Lord of the Rings.
So yeah, you would think that there should be some money in it, but like again, Embracer owns IP, right? So they would have to work on it, and I don't know who they would put on it. I mean, Crystal or something like, but I'm not like particularly hopeful. I want nothing more. I really want them to I would love somebody to like remaster Battle for Middle Earth and like re-release that.
Cool. Yeah.
Like put that back out and put that on Steam. That would be great. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame. It's like the ultimate fantasy IP, and we can't.
I'd even take.
We can't get video games out of the series regularly. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I would even take remastered ports. Like just give me an upscaled Shadow of Mordor on PS5. Boom, I'd play that.
Sure.
Like I said this the other day, but give me another Sleeping Dogs port. Like port it to PS5. Give me more Wei Shin.
Yeah, is Lord of the Rings like to fantasy like what Batman is to superheroes?
No. It's definitely a pillar.
It's up there, but it's in no way close to unfortunately to what Batman is to superheroes.
No, I'm just saying like in their place in like their respective genres.
I mean, I think a lot of people take hints from Tolkien for their own fantasy work.
Yeah, like you would think. You would think there'd be a steady streams of Lord of the Rings games in development.
But if it's licenses, maybe it's just easier to make a Baldur's Gate or something like that. Where
let's be real. Sure. You're not when you're dealing with the Lord of the Rings license. You're not just dealing with the licensee. You're also dealing with the Tolkien. You're dealing with the Tolkien estate, which might lead to why we don't have as many.
Did you guys see the Shire one that they're making? There's like this. There's this Hobbit life sim game in the works.
What the hell?
Not.
Really?
It looks bad, but like I kind of want to play it. But it look like visually it does not look good.
Okay, I'm gonna play Sam and make sure my garden's okay. And
that's exactly what it's like. Animal Crossing, but the Shire. Like you tend to the crops and like make meals and shit. But it like the art style looks really like gnomish and like wooden. It's not a great art style. Like the hair is very weird. Like all the characters almost look like they were whittled out of a stick or something.
The feet are just blocks, like just giant blocks.
Yeah, we should get more Lord of the Rings Lego games would be great. But
it's a shame we never got the 3rd Hobbit movie in Lego. We only got the first 2.
I'm aware, and just bummer.
Yeah, sucks. Tales of the Shire. Yikes. Looks like a mobile game.
It does. It's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a mobile game.
All right, so that wouldn't bug me too much if it's just a mobile game and you're like clicking the little building.
But it's not. Like it's coming to console. You can get on Switch and stuff.
Look at this. Tales of the Shire.
And who makes
it? Give me a sec. Published by Take-Two, owned Private Division, and developed
Private Division.
Yeah. Well, hold on. They're publishing it, but it's developed by Weta Workshop.
There you go. That's what I remember. I remember it was a Private Division label.
Yeah.
So the game's got some money behind it.
This looks absolutely horrible.
It doesn't look good. That's why I haven't shared it in the Discord.
You got
because everybody thought Shadows of Mordor, or everybody thought Mordor, not Mordor. What's the name of the game I played?
The Mine one. It's something to do with
Mines of Moria.
Moria. Thank you. I was like, oh, I cannot think of it. Yeah, the Mines of Moria. That game was good and looked good, and everybody trashed it when I showed up. I definitely wasn't posting that in the Discord. I was like, nope, I'm not posting this damn Hobbit game.
So I am looking at a picture of it right now of one of the characters holding up a fish, and it reminds me of Link from Ocarina of Time, and the graphics seem about the same.
What? I think Ocarina looks better than that. That's a disservice to Ocarina, sir. How dare you?
Probably.
I was meaning it as a compliment. But you took it the wrong way.
How dare you?
Okay, hold on.
Solely Ocarina of Time with that.
Okay, I see the image that Snurts is talking about. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
It looks like Link's discount cousin who's kind of slow.
Now that's true. I know the image is speaking of it. That's true. That's it.
Look, Ma, I caught a fish.
Not the voice.
Yeah. Hey, me, Ma.
It's just a shame. Like, you have this series that has these gigantic epic battles and orcs and humans and elves and shit. And it's like, seriously, it is so tailor made for an action video game. How could you not make giant like, how have we not had like the Strider Lord of the Rings open world game where like we run around, complete quests, fight shit in fields, raise armies, and take down castles? How's that not a thing? That's as easy as it gets.
Why can't
make that game?
3 characters like Legolas and
and they're like, nah, we're gonna have you sneak around as Gollum.
Yeah, everyone wants that.
I still don't understand the thought process behind that Gollum video game, because half of it is like, oh, you're like in this tale of intrigue, and then the other half is
I'm legit stunned that you get the opportunity to make a licensed video game for Lord of the Rings, this legendary franchise and this extended lore, and your first thought is, let's make a stealth game
as Gollum.
Even just literally at face value, like, you know what we're gonna do? We're making a stealth game, hide and go seek Lord of the Rings. Like, what the fuck? No.
I mean,
like, who whiteboards that?
That could make sense with the One Ring, and if you're turning invisible and stuff like that, I could see it. But
I just feel like you're really missing the boat.
It is a very small part of the story.
Like, who's excited about that? You know, it's like I think it like kind of says itself. Like, I would turn on like one trailer of the movie and be like, do that. Not like the sneaking around part. Who wants to sneak around the whole time?
I don't.
No, we need swords and shit. Like, we need to do stuff
around the whole time. I'll play Dishonored or Hitman. Like,
sure.
Yarden asked thoughts on the new Gollum movie, or the upcoming movie, The Hunt for Gollum. Look, I'm trying to remain hopefully optimistic because this is a series that I want. The thing that I told my coworker at work is I'm trying not to like hate things before they exist. Like, that's a lot of energy that like nobody needs. Like, I don't have to hate it at face value. We can wait to see it and then hate it then. I don't have to hate it today, like everybody else. Like, I don't know what we're hating yet.
I do have hopes because Andy Serkis is back as Gollum, they've said.
So my thing is, who are you cast as Aragorn? Like, how does this work?
Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
there it is. Like, you have de-aging tech on or something like that. Like, you know, you can't really do that. So they're gonna have to like recast some things. They did say that Peter Jackson's like tied to the writing, so like maybe it'll hold up. I don't know. I'm rooting for it, but we'll see. People hated a lot of people hate Rings of Power, and I enjoyed it. So
I haven't watched it yet. Like, it's there in my watch list, but
it's different.
I started watching True Blood instead for the first time and finished that. So.
And in my following along, a lot of the Lord of the Rings fans were really upset that the liberties it took with like the books. I haven't read the books, so I don't care.
The books are a bit much.
I mean, yeah, I've never read the books either. I've just watched
And
the movie.
I like that. Like, I don't want a faithful reshot, like if they're trying to do their own thing. But I was following it and was really kind of digging it by the end.
I read The Hobbit back in the day, and that was an easy 300-page read. So, if you guys feel
Yeah,
like going through that one's easy. But when I started with Fellowship, I was 1,000 pages in, and they still haven't left the Shire. I closed the book and said I could just go watch the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, aren't like the 3 Lord of the Rings books total like 75 pages?
Yeah, they go into like super back details of like the ancestry of everybody, and
they're hard to follow. Like, you almost have to like map it out and stuff as you read. So I have a my sister-in-law is super Lord of the Rings nerd. She took like a Tolkien class in college and stuff. So I usually just let her explain this stuff to me. I'm like, look, I'm dumb. I've watched the movies, like I've gathered what I can, like YouTube videos, but like I'm not reading all the books and stuff. I'm not going that hard. So usually she fills in the gaps for me, and I like that. And it's actually something really cool because we don't share a lot in common. So like this is our thing. Nice. So when we do get together, we have something to talk about. So that's like another thing. I don't want to kind of ruin it too much with.
When I watched the extended editions not too long ago, like maybe last year,
they're coming to IMAX,
and I actually liked them. I thought it fleshed out Fellowship of the Ring a lot more. It was enjoyable, and then they had some cool moments in the other movies. It's just long, but this is also why I like watching this stuff at home, because if I get like an hour and a half in, I can pause it.
They're coming to IMAX. Trying to talk to my wife, I'm like, don't you want to go watch all of the Lord of the Rings in one day?
In one day?
Yeah, like in straight shot. You just sit down and go.
That's a lot.
I want to do it. Like, I don't think she wants to come with me, but like I'm seriously.
You better be in those fancier theaters with the nice recliner couches. You don't want your average seat for that. Your butt's gonna need support.
It's a good point. You might have to stand up for a little bit. It's a lot of popcorn to eat.
By the end of it, Donnie is just like, I can't. No more popcorn. No more. You can't smell popcorn for 3 days because it just gives you a triggering memory.
Popcorn so much. Dude, I wanna see Abigail so bad. Like, sorry, I know it's.
Oh, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was way better than The Strangers. The Strangers was not great. Like, it was pretty disappointing.
I mean, Abigail. I love Melissa Barrera, and I also really love Catherine Newton. So
there's a lot of blood. It was way bloodier than I expected. Buckets of blood. Whereas like The Strangers feels a lot like those Fear Street remakes or like the Scream remake, where it's like The Strangers remake was like PG-13 The Strangers, which I was like, this is lame. But yeah, no, I liked Abigail quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think the first movie I'm going to see this year is Deadpool Wolverine. I don't go to the movies that much, and the 2 ones that are closest to me shut down during the pandemic.
I normally don't, but this year is the exception. I've already been to the movies like 4 times, and I plan on going another 5 or 6 times.
The last movie that I saw in theaters was Scream 6. So
I think I'm gonna go next weekend again. I just went and saw The Strangers Friday night. I think I'm gonna go see Furiosa next weekend.
I think part of it too is that I'm such a stoner that I rather watch something from home where I can smoke. And
I do the same.
Because I usually, like, when I smoke and go to the theater, by the time the ads and the trailers are done, like I'm already kind of like soberish.
I've really timed that off.
Yeah.
So where I don't get to the movie theater until about 20 minutes after my showtime, and then by the time I get my popcorn and everything and walk in, it's just about ready to start. Yeah, like my theater literally does almost 30 minutes of ads after showtime.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
Every movie.
It's insane.
You hear what EA's talking about, like we should put ads there. Like that's what you're worried about.
No, that is what I'm worried about. Yep.
30 minutes of ads before don't tell Kojima that.
Well, and one of the reasons the industry likes those ads so much in front of movies is because you have an audience with butts and seats, and they're not like distracted by other things.
So I don't mind like movie theater ads, but my local movie theater now starts doing ads for like Coca-Cola or
so mine does for like local insurance businesses and landscaping and like it all. There's like a whole sizzle reel that goes.
Yeah, but then when the movie, there's a sizzle reel like before the movie starts, and then for like at least my last experience, they play like 2 or 3 ads. Usually it's a car ad of some kind or Coca-Cola or something of that nature. So there's like the local ads.
Then you get the movie trailers.
And then you get the trailers, and then you get the movie. So
I've seen the same 13 movie trailers for like the last couple months every time I go. Yeah.
Are you gonna see the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
Not in theaters. That's when I'll catch it home.
Okay.
Because I do have to pick and choose because I want to see so many. Like the ones that are on the docket for me are Furiosa and Quiet Place Day 1.
Okay.
For sure. and I'm sure I've got a couple more. That's the reason my
I
horror
guess
movie watch list this year is deep. I have a ton of movies I don't want to watch.
that
Nice.
clip of the kid being taken out in the first Quiet Place keeps popping up on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah,
I'll tell you,
Dumbass
I keep a
kid.
list.
yeah.
2024 list.
I've actually seen The Quiet Place, which is rare because I don't see too many horror movies. But during October, I try to get more into it. And I didn't mind The Quiet Place, but there was a few things that drove me nuts. Like one is like that scene is literally from Jurassic Park, with the velociraptors like trying to get the kids.
Yeah.
And then the other is like I don't know how that birth happened and she was quiet.
It was going to be The Crow, but I think I'm going to skip The Crow in person because I just don't think it's going to be very good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for that.
So The Quiet Place, Day One, and then Maxine would be the next one, and Alien. So that's like literally in months in a row. I'm gonna go see. I saw The Strangers. I'm gonna go see Quiet Place Day One in June. I'll see Maxine in July, and I'll see Alien Romulus in August, and that'll get me to Beetlejuice.
Yeah, sounds like you got a full movie docket.
Good year for horror movies this year, like really good year. One of the better years in many years that I can remember.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess we should ask our last question, huh?
Yeah, sure. So Nick Turbo asks, how much of the Kingdom Hearts lore do you know? And for me personally, it's very little. I've only played the first game, and that was many, many moons ago, and I don't remember too much from it other than it being enjoyable.
I tried a Kingdom Hearts game on 3DS once for about 15 minutes and turned it off, and I've never played anything else.
The only thing I know about Kingdom Hearts is that via Kingdom Hearts, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck are like the highest level red mages in all of Final Fantasy. It is absolutely wild. Like,
yeah. I did like that too. And Goofy was there. You know, it was a fun. And you go through all these different missions. Like you're in Aladdin Land, you're in the Lion King Land. So that kind of stuff was fun. I am a Disney kid at heart, and I do like all those characters, and combining them with the Final Fantasy setting and not having it being turn-based combat. I remember it being enjoyable, but I've had no desire whatsoever to dive back into that universe. Even now with the PS5, where I actually have access. Before, I would have to borrow my siblings' PlayStation 2, I believe it was, or 3. So don't know too much about the Kingdom Hearts outside of it's just Final Fantasy mixed with Disney.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I guess you're going to have to go elsewhere, Nick Turbo, for your in-depth discussion of Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, so little inside baseball. Nick asked this because Nick has never played Final Fantasy and is looking to start Kingdom Hearts and is looking to start.
Oh, I do recommend giving it a shot.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like it, just move on. But I do remember once you kind of got to a certain level with the combat, it did become very fun with Goofy and Donald Duck and your own key sword and all that kind of fun stuff.
Lame.
Sorrow. I wish I could do a good Goofy because I listened to an interview recently with Goofy, and he was talking about like how he liked doing those Kingdom Hearts games. The voiceover actor did.
Sure.
So that's fun.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Anything else?
I mean, that's a thing with most TV shows that go into periods that aren't addressed in their original lore. Like,
what are you talking about?
I'm reading Gamer Chef's comment about I think a big problem with the Rings of Powers. There's not much known about that time period. I won't go into it because people are insane, but yeah, I understand why they don't like it. I mean, I don't.
Good for them. Yeah, you're allowed not to like it. I liked it. So I thought it was entertaining. So
I watched the first episode of it, and then my free Prime access stopped, and I was just like, okay, fine.
People really hated it. Like they really just bombed the shit out of it. Yeah, I liked it. But again, I was happy for it'd honestly be like Moria. I was happy for more Lord of the Rings. Like I wanted to see more and was happy to get more. You know, there's definitely a part of that. You know, people hated on Moria. Mines of Moria was a pretty fun video game. If you're into that, like that Valheim, Minecraft sort of thing, it's a quality video game.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of like the.
But what people think of when they think of a Lord of the Rings video game, especially our folks, they think of Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
It's like it's not that. It's definitely not that. So if you can let that go, you might have a good time.
Also, there's been so many different kinds of Lord of the Rings games over the years. It's not like there's an established. It always has to be, like
the unfortunate thing is that Shadow of Mordor like kind of really took off, and that's what people are expecting now. Yeah, so.
Especially in in our space. Like our space is core console gaming space, and that's what they think of. Like most folks don't know, Battle for Middle Earth. I doubt they know Conquest. I doubt they know like the GameCube games. I've played all those games.
No one should know Conquest.
I know I played Conquest.
No, Conquest is fun. I'll give them this. When you do your superhero versus superhero conquest battles, so when you have like Frodo and versus like the evil guys, like I forget what they call them. Is it a hero class? But you could you can have a match where you're only the elites who are character names fight each other, and that's always fun. It is fun to go around as Frodo as a rogue and to try to backstab somebody.
Like I still have like the Two Towers and the Return of the King game, like the GameCube games, the GBA games. Like when I set up my emulators, like on my iPad or anything, that's some of the first stuff that goes in.
I heard the Two Towers game is fantastic.
It is super fun. I would love for those games to come back. Like how we never got like a Lord of the Rings Diablo style game is.
That's
do that.
Action RPG would be great. I would be super into that.
Yeah,
and then you can have everybody play different. You can have Legolas be more of like a bow and arrow character. You can have Gimli more with the hammers.
Yep, classes.
That's
why the RTS stuff was fun. Like the RTS, and like I think I've said it for years. Like I've always kind of wanted like a Warriors game, like a Warriors spinoff. I think that's another thing that like really could be like a natural fit. You ever played any of the Musos, the Dynasty Warriors, and the High Rulers and stuff like that? It'd be great fit for those characters.
Yeah.
So, but no, nobody wants to do anything with it. Just make the Shire game.
Just embrace. Sorry. Just Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends now.
Yeah. It's all just been embraced. So,
because that's what everybody thinks of when they think of Lord of the Rings is fishing in the Shire.
Fishing in the Shire with wood cut gnome elves or whatever. Like it's not right, right? Like you look at it, you're like, that's not right.
No, it doesn't look right.
Why does their hair look like that?
It looks
Why does it look like that?
They look like gnomes. They look like cut out of wood, like logs or something. What is happening?
You know those old like Flash games where like you could tell they were like designed.
It's got big CDI energy.
Yeah,
like I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right.
I think that does it. Yeah.
Fun show.
Right. Good stuff.
Down. Look forward to coming back, Delvin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good luck with everything, Delvin. Your thoughts are, I do think about you.
Welcome you back as soon as you're ready.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Take your time, buddy. We'll be here. We'll keep the lights on for you.
So with that, deuces.
Laters.